Hey, what's up? We should be live. Sorry for the delay. 1 second. Let me check that everything works properly. 1 second. I'm going to open it up on YouTube. Let me know if you can hear me well too, because I think I did something a little different there. Yeah, okay, good. I hear myself well. Hopefully you can too. So thank you so much for being here. Mainly wanted to do this stream kind of to play catch up. As last week, obviously, we didn't have one. Took a bit of a time off and wanted to kind of catch up, answer a bunch of questions, whatever you want. So be sure to, if you have any questions, we're going to talk generally about how to improve your art. It can be watercolor, it can be drawing, sketching, whatever it is. Any questions that you have about that topic, simply let me know in the chat and I'll answer them. Kind of give you a brief update also on what I've been working on, a couple of announcements, news, stuff like that. One thing to start with, if you remember, I did in the last video, actually, I posted a link to the Discord and I posted an art contest. So if you want to win an original painting, be sure to check that out. There will be a link in the description box to the Discord. Let me move this like that. Okay. There will be a link to the Discord down below. Join. I've seen quite a lot of people have joined. And in the Liron updates or announcements channel, it's called, channel, you will see an announcement, and then you can enter the art contest. First one, there's going to be many more for a chance to win my painting and a bunch of other secret stuff that I will reveal in the future. So be sure to do that. Now let's see who's here. I'm using StreamYard so I can fancily show your comments. Hey, Saint Inky, how are you doing? Thank you so much for being here, and thank you for the ongoing support. I really appreciate it. There we go. Now it's an official Thursday stream. I'll also share a couple of the things I've been contending with myself and a couple of my current challenges, just to be transparent with you all. But we can basically talk about whatever you want. So definitely leave a comment. Let me know what questions you have or anything, whatever. Thank you, Saint Inky. Hey, Denise. Good morning from the Rocket City, Huntsville, Alabama. Thank you for being here, Emmy. Good morning, Liron, and everyone. Enjoying London? You mean London? Are you in London? Happy to hear you're enjoying yourself. Hey, Sujanith, how are you doing? I saw that you just joined the Discord maybe yesterday, I believe. So thank you so much and welcome. Hope you're fine. India, yeah, I remember, of course. UAE, we talked a bit about that. My camera makes weird noises. Let me do something like this. I'm going to move my camera because I'm actually just using my normal Mac camera. And I'm going to do this, and we will have no more shakiness. Good, we're good. At least just mild shakiness. Hey, Hank, how are you doing? From very snowy Midwest. Is it snowy right now? That's cool. That's cool. Christine Bourgeois. Hey, hello all. How are you doing? Hey, Pat, how are you? It's been a while, I think, right? Hope you're doing well. Good morning from Canada. Susan, the topic today sounds very inspiring. Yeah. There's so much to wrap our heads around. One thing I want to make sure is that I don't impose my own tips on anyone. That's how you improve, that's how you do it. I don't really like this because there's just most of the magic happens in discovering yourself and not in taking in external inspiration, external stuff. Funny enough, that's what I slowly start to believe more and more. Let me move this. We're not doing the top view today. But yeah, a lot of it is just what you discover, and I think it would be wise to use external influences and external kind of elements as help, but definitely above all, it's about discovery, and I'm working towards discovering more, basically. But yeah, very interesting topic. Hopefully, it really does inspire you, and you're not being cynical. I don't know. I'm not sure. It's hard to tell from text. Saint Yankee from Munich, but I've been the airbase in Huntsville. My dad worked for the Pentagon and was sent there for lectures. Oh, that's really cool. I bet he has some interesting stories. Thank you so much, Sudanith. Hey, James, how are you? Hey, Liron, all greetings from London, cold, cloudy, and dry. Sounds like a good inspiration for painting, at the very least. Hey, L. I'm gonna call you L, even though I know your name. Hope you're doing well. Ruthie Eilers, good morning. MC. And by the way, feel free to let me know in the comments what you've been up to, because it has been 2 weeks since we did this. I know a lot of people played the new Pokemon game. I have started. I'm 6 hours in. I wish I could do more. That's not really a lot, believe it or not. But yeah, Thursday, so maybe more today. And hey, MC, how are you doing? We're doing well. Hey, Tanga, good evening from India. Thank you so much for being here. Hey, John. Hey, Lord, I hope you're doing well. Hey, everyone. Sally Smith sends waves and heart. Thank you so much. Isabel, hi from snowy Ontario, Canada. Good morning, everyone. Snowy in Ontario. Yeah, Ontario representation here. Liz, woohoo, cool, Liron, love from Australia's East Coast, 1 a.m. Yeah, it's super late for Aussies. Sorry about that. Paulo Mira, good morning, Livonia. That's probably a spell check. My name does not exist in the dictionary. That's a problem. Happy Thursday from Hamilton, Canada. Hope everyone's well. Vesper for Jen. Hey, hope you're doing well. Hey, Jeannie. Hope you're doing well too. Hey, Monica. How are you? Landon, severe winter storm. Oh, okay. That's the name of the storm. I forgot. Like, did they talk about it? Landon. Oh, yeah. Winter storm, Landon. Yeah, we had one storm here, but it didn't materialize. They talked about it all over the news, but it just never happened. I'm sorry to hear that there it actually happens. They make good on their promises there, the storms. MC says, good afternoon from coastal England. Not that warm, but okay considering. Thank you for being here. Hey, Olivier. Cheers, Liron. Hey, all from France. Do you pronounce it Olivier, or do you actually pronounce it the Olivier? Let me know, because, yeah, I'm always curious about French pronunciations. They always confuse me. Richard, hey, how are you, my friend? Hope everything is well. Julio says, buenos dias. Thank you for being here. HBM. Tanga, I like the video you did on figure drawing with spheres and cubes. It was very interesting. I'm in a block now, unable to do my painting. How does one get out of it? Yeah, I'd love to hear more. So what blocks you? Do you actually sit down and try, or do you avoid it altogether? I wonder. Because I feel like to me, it's never really about... once I sit down, I know I'm like I'll always be able to paint. The question is how much I'm feeling it. You know what I mean? So let me know. Provide more info. I'm in a block now, unable to do my painting. Yeah, most blocks are just fully mental. It's just in our heads, which is insane to think about. We stop ourselves from doing things. Sometimes I find you can force it, but sometimes you actually need to just take a break. That's the only way to solve it. So I wonder what it is with this case. Let me know. Hey, Gail, how are you doing? Hank, Liron, please comment on choosing the size of the composition that you choose to compose a piece. Choosing the size of the composition. So do you mean like the actual paper size? I think it will depend on a lot of factors. To me, I think bigger paintings are better just because they're more impressive. They can be seen from afar. They make more of an impression, which is what makes them more impressive. But on the other hand, they're more work. So usually in the size kind of question, I go with, I think, what is like most convenient for me rather than like the biggest, most impressive size. What I will say is that I recently find that unless it's like a very simple subject and a singular subject, like a face, right? Or a still life kind of a thing like this, I won't go under A4 size because it's just too small. I find now that's me, right? Everyone will have a different kind of approach to this, and it will depend on the type of paper too, because I use cold press often, and cold press has texture, so the texture is much more significant in small sizes. But if you use hot press, maybe it's going to be a little different for you. By the way, I have some hot press paper I actually need to use. So I do wonder. I think for me, using cold press, I won't go under A4 unless it's that, a singular simple subject, or just practice like brush strokes or something very basic. Unless it's that, I'm going to go A4 minimum, and sometimes more than that. But A4, I think, is around my normal type of size. A4 would be similar to it. It's not going to be exactly, I believe, but it's not going to be exact, but it's what you get like this in these blocks. The 23. Oh, that actually doesn't make. Oh, yeah, it makes sense. 23 by 31. I believe A4 is 21 on 29. Correct me if I'm mistaken. So it's kind of close, right? 9 on 12 inches. That would be my go-to size for anything that's more significant than just a small kind of quick sketch or exercise. I would say below that, it's hard to get all the details in. But maybe someone who paints mostly hot press may have a different experience than this. I hope that helps. Hey, Farouk, how are you doing? Sally Smith, I'm wondering what you think about fugitive colors like Opera, Winsor Newton, you mean, and cadmium colors that have the cancer notification from California. Yeah. So about that, I'm honestly not an expert. I do know that the cancer notification is very, I think, conservative. So you probably, from what I read, they say that you should be fine unless you eat the paint, right? If you just paint, that's okay. And if you wash your hands, worst case, you can use gloves, and that's fine. I mean, I've done that before when I thought I had allergies from paint. So worst case, you can use gloves. There isn't an inhaling aspect because it's just paint. It's not the pigment itself. If that's the case, then I'm fine with them. As for fugitive colors, if you enjoy them, use them. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily sell something that's based on fugitive paints, but for practice, definitely. Opera is one of the prettiest colors ever. You say Winsor Newton, probably, but or you mean something else, but I used Opera by Schminke, and it was one of the most beautiful colors, like a strong, bright pink that's very hard to mix yourself. So I will say, for those, like, if you enjoy practicing using them, I would definitely do that. Don't know if I would sell something based purely on fugitive colors, because it will change with time. It's not going to fade completely, probably, but it will shift and it will look different. It may yellow, it may turn brown, it may go through significant changes. That's what I would say. I don't know if there's like a good Opera replacement that's fully Lightfast. I mean, honestly, I would just choose the brightest Lightfast, most similar color and try to get close to Opera by mixing. But yeah, it's a tricky one. Sometimes I never know what it is, but like the prettiest colors end up being the most either toxic or fugitive. It's so funny that it works that way. So tragic. But yeah, I hope that helps. Susan, I'm aware of a few watercolor artists who use mainly wet on wet mostly. Isn't it mandatory in watercolor you have to be good at wet on dry and negative painting? A few artists who mainly wet on wet. They're in watercolor. It's a good question. I think you can achieve the same result in multiple different paths, and different paths will allow for different results too, if that's something you're interested in. So it is very personal. It's a matter, I think, of what you enjoy doing. A couple of things. For me personally, I'm on the other side of the spectrum. I use more, as you write, wet on dry. In negative painting, and I don't use much wet in wet. I kind of use it along the way, but I do see a lot of artists that I'm actually quite jealous of that have big sections of the painting based in wet and wet, and their technique is top notch, and it actually looks fantastic. Let me make sure the heat isn't too strong. No, it's good. For Ruth, she has a little thing here, heater. So yeah, I actually am jealous of some of these artists who are able to create such a beautiful, I guess, impression wet and wet, and it looks so good. It pushes watercolor to the edge, and it leads to, it's something I talk about a lot in the course that's going to be out soon. It's controlling the viewer's focus and attention using edges, and where you want to keep things a little looser, right? And even in my paintings that do this the best, I still feel like I fall short from other artists. So just like anything else, it's a tool. And if you can be good at that tool, you will become just better. All your paintings will become better. So I would do both for sure. I would practice both. I wonder if most people go this way or that way. I can't really remember if most people do mostly wet and wet or wet on dry? Because I do see a lot of people that kind of work like me and just wet on dry, never wet and wet. And I do see people that mostly rely on wet and wet. So I think it's pretty even down the middle if I had to guess, right? But yeah, I would definitely say both are important skills. Wet and wet to me is harder in other aspects. Like wet and dry is hard because you have to worry about the flow more and you can just look at it for a few seconds. You have to work, you have to go fast. But wet on wet is more of a nuance of how you control the water to paint ratio and poses a lot more challenges, in my opinion, which is probably why I use that less. But I do want to do more of that for sure. I don't know. Follow up with me on it. I'm curious to hear more about what you've seen. Have you seen artists that rely just on wet and wet? I mean, you say that here, it makes sense. Do you feel like their paintings fall short of artists who do both, or of artists who do more like straight to the point, wet on dry? Let me know, I'm curious. I think the larger the painting is, in a way, the more passable it is if you're using just wet on dry, because you have a bit more control of the edges, the larger sizes. It's harder, but you have more room to work on, and small, smooth transitions aren't as visible, because in the grand scheme of things, in a large painting, it's not as significant. The smaller it is, it becomes even more and more important. With a larger piece, you can get it by doing a few glazes and blending them into the paper one by one. I feel like you have a bit more of a freedom to avoid wet and wet. And it's harder, of course, because it's a larger size, you know. John, thank you so much for your post the other day. I really appreciate you and everything you do, my friend. Yeah, definitely. It's right here. The painting that John made me, right here. It's so good, John. You nailed it. Ruth looks so good in this superhero outfit. I'm so happy every day. I just raise my eyes and look at it. It's so fun. Thank you so much. I wanted to put the letter behind it, but I just couldn't really solve that problem. So I just have like plastic bag. I'm gonna put in a bunch of letters. Actually, I just tried organizing the studio a bit and discovered I have tons of them. I have a lot of, like, tons, you know, probably 10 of letters, actually things that people wrote, which is super cool. So I need to organize those. Maybe I'll do a binder or like something that I can flip through and read them. That'll be cool. But thank you so much. John Haywood, hello from Connecticut, USA. Thank you for being here, John. Hey, Nikki. Hi from Montreal, Canada. Why do my paintings look like paint by numbers? It's interesting. So I actually like the result. It looks like paint by numbers. So I may not be the best person to comment on that. Honestly, I like that look. I don't know why. So here's the problem. I think what you call a paint by numbers may not be what I have in mind. Let me search real fast. Paint by numbers, because sometimes paint by numbers can be quite realistic. So I'm not really sure. Like, I see us. So you know what? I'm not sure. You'll have to elaborate. But one thing that is true about paint by numbers is that it's pretty. And maybe you mean it not as literally as I interpret it, but because they show you where to paint what, there aren't too many. There isn't a lot of flow. So it's mostly like painting in patches. If you're talking about and referring to what I think you are and the way it looks is the way I think it is, I would just incorporate more wet and wet. In fact, I would break away from the way you're currently doing things and just focus on getting a flow. So I would use a big section of the painting to just transition from one color to another or one value to another, and try just to focus on that. That will definitely break that paint by numbers pattern. Now, with that, I actually like that look. And a lot of my paintings that I love the most have that look. So if you don't like it, that's something else. And I would just go that direction. Try and challenge yourself to do wet and wet. Decide that one section of the painting is going to be devoted just to that. And I think I may have a painting here that I can show. So this is actually an old one. I've shared this. So if you look at this kind of a scene, I just have it here by chance. You notice how the mountains in the background, they have clear edges up top, but then the lower section kind of blends together, right? And you may remember this because I did this painting lesson. That's how you avoid the paint by numbers look, by having gradual transitions in significant parts of the painting. If you can do that, if you can just have one area that relies on a smooth transition, it will break that mold. write that pattern. I hope that makes sense. Practice just that, do something simple, but utilize wet and see how it goes. I think it will really help. And if you want to be more specific, feel free to elaborate, follow up, or send me an email. And if you have, sorry if I missed it, I'm a little behind on emails, but I will see it eventually. Yes, paper size. So Hank, I hope my answer was helpful. Susan, is it true that you have to be choosy of reference photos in doing watercolor, unlike oils, where you could use any reference? So I would be the contrarian here. I think you can paint anything with watercolor. I'm trying to, because I had that belief myself, and then I realized this was wrong. It's just wrong. You can do anything. The process will be very different. So that's true that with other opaque mediums, you can really set things up slowly and build it up and add until it looks just right. Whereas with watercolor, you're kind of in that one-way street process. But that still doesn't mean you can't paint any reference. Now, you can change things, you can simplify them, and that's something I often find myself doing. I'll choose an element from the scene and focus on that and have the background support that, and that can really help to paint just about anything. Because if you decide to drop a bunch of elements and focus on one specific thing in the scene, you could do that with watercolor. Now, even if you don't want to change anything, I think with enough skill and enough observation, you can do that. And I've seen artists do that. It's just not easy, but it is possible. Now, in the beginning, you have to be choosy no matter what medium you use. Whether you're using watercolor, oils, acrylics, gouache, pastels, pencil, pen, chalk, charcoal, you have to be picky because some things are just more accessible than others. So the main answer to the question would be no, in my opinion. Now, one more thing I've been toying around with in my mind is, what if you just do mix media? If you like watercolor, and I definitely love watercolor over everything else. So let's say you prefer the watercolor process. That's great. So you do that for as long as you can, and then you just switch gears and use opaque mediums, use acrylics, to either correct big areas or supplement areas or add highlights or do whatever you want, I've been playing around with that idea for a while now, and I think the day is close where I'll just do it, Artists like Ray Balkwell, who are just, dang, he's so good. Ray Balkwell uses a bunch of mediums together, and he's mixed and he's realistic. Like, he's pretty much as realistic as it gets. The scenes he chooses, of course, he's not hyper realistic or hyper detailed, but if you look at his works, they are realistic. And so the reason, by the way, I use that word realistic is just to explain that everything can be done the way he works, right? It's not that necessarily I believe realism is better than anything else, and I probably don't, because I don't do much realism, but he achieves such beautiful results using tons of mediums together. I think he's even using one of the works here. I'm not sure if it's like colored pencil or colored charcoal or something like that, but he's using everything and it looks so good. So, maybe it's okay to drop that notion of watercolor has to be just watercolor, I'm not sure. But it's a tricky answer, I guess. Hopefully I was able to kind of give something there, Lori Burton, my hand. Greetings from Chicago, Illinois. Thank you so much for being here. Hey, Josephine, how are you doing? I'm awake. Thank you for being here. Hey, Tommy, my buddy. Hey, Liron, I hope you have a great week. Love your work. Keep rocking. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here. Also, how is the manga going? Oh yeah, so I can flip through the manga later if you want me to show you. I've finished 7 pages so far, which is nothing, but it's going well. The last page is actually pretty good. I think I can just upload it and then show you later. But I think I did a decent job at it. Quite a lot of details. We'll see. I think, what, let me know in a chat, everyone, if you want me to show it, because I can show it, I think, pretty easily here. So I can find it as we talk. So let's see what else you're saying, and maybe we'll revisit that. John says, Liron, did anybody guess correctly on your recent post what your next course will be? Nobody. I don't think anyone, maybe one person guessed correctly, but it makes sense. I mean, it's not that obvious, but yeah. I mean, was it? Did anyone guess correctly? No, I can't remember. I did a bunch of posts with questions, so I'm actually not sure. But yeah. Saint Inky, I think passion makes one better at art since it gets you creating constantly. I get better after getting into smartwatches and creating artsy designs. Interesting. So in a way, you also got better after getting into smartwatches. Does that mean those inspired your creation? I guess so. I think having multiple passions can help. So, for example, yeah, I like drawing and painting, but I also like manga and anime and cars and all of these other things that I enjoy painting. So I want to try. Let's switch over to the other camera here for 1 second, just because it's getting a little dark and it may be better for lower light settings. I don't know. Does it look better? No, it looks bad. I don't know why. The better camera looks worse. So let's get rid of that. Okay, we'll stay with this. But yeah, I agree. I think passion in multiple fields can really help. And if you can combine them into one piece of art, I think that can be huge. Actually, that can be really, really big. The more you can bring together the passions, the better, I think. See here. Yeah. With that, I guess, passion is still very fickle, I think. Like, passion is something that stays, but you won't always feel it, right? So if you don't feel your passion, it doesn't mean you can't create, right? A lot of people just kind of go through the motions and still create beautiful stuff. So I guess I don't want to limit my way of thinking and saying just, you have to feel that passion or whatever. Because I look at passion kind of like motivation in a way, it can ebb and flow, I guess. Wolfgang Soul says, hello, Liron. Hi, all. Hey, thank you for being here. Vespa, how do we identify if a color is fugitive? I think it's the brand has to write on the color how light fast it is, right? So Daniel Smith has that scale. So you want to look for Lightfastness 1, I think, is the best. And then let me check. I think 1 is the best. It's been a while since I looked at it because I just know what pigments are. Lightfast. They no longer no, they mentioned it, yeah. Lightfastness is through series 3. Lightfastness 1. Lightfastness 1. So for example, the cerulean blue is Lightfast. Phthalo blue should definitely be series 1. Yeah. They should. It just says on the side of the tube. If it's 1 in Daniel Smith, it's the best. 2 is still okay, I think. If I'm not mistaken, let's see what's the Lightfastness of like something like Crimson. What's it called? Crimson? Let's see. Alizarin Crimson, of course, yeah. So Alizarin Crimson, which is just a beautiful color, Lightfastness is 4. So that's really bad. Now I remember, yeah. 4. IV is 4, right? If I'm not mistaken. It's Roman numerals. So yeah, this paint, Alizarin Crimson, which I absolutely love. Of course, it has terrible Lightfastness. So 2, I think, is okay. 3, I wouldn't use. And 4 is a nightmare. So definitely not. But yeah. I do wonder, though, with special glass, maybe it could be better. Who knows? IRI, which is one step from IRA, which is scary, but IRI is good. Hello, what do you think about Saunders' paper? I was disappointed after first try. Still need to be careful with next layers to not lift layers under. Maybe you can suggest any paper cheaper, but at least the same. Wow, I never had that experience with Saunders Waterford. No, it was always good. I'm really surprised. So where my mind goes is whether the production quality deteriorated, because I haven't bought one in a while, but John did send one over, but that may have been manufactured a while ago. John, I'm not sure, who knows how long it's been at the store. Jackson's, right? Who knows how long it's been there. I bought, it's weird because I bought an arch roll not too long ago, and I've heard people complain about the quality, and it's still good. So I don't know, maybe it's a bad batch or something like that. But Saunders is not the cheapest paper, so pretty much any paper would be cheaper. Try Baohong. I really enjoy Baohong, and it should be cheaper. This is what I've been using so far. I do have another one, but this Baohong worked really well for me. Thank you, John, for sending it over. Academy. Sorry about the grainy quality. There's no longer really that much natural light. Let me see if I can make this stronger. No, but in any case, I want to bring the light a bit closer. A second. So yeah, I never had that issue with Bauhong. So I'm actually with Saunders. So maybe Bauhong will be better. Arch, I think, is more expensive, but check. Maybe it's not. If it's not more expensive, then I would try that. But sorry to hear that. That sucks because I never had that kind of a bad experience. Surgeon Wet on Wet is opted by Louise de Massy. She does mostly botanic. Yeah, I know. I'm familiar with. We talked about. I think we have discussed it in the past. In a past live stream, right? Yeah. Let's see here. Yeah, that's actually really interesting. Wet on Wet opted. Louise. Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, it really makes nice use of it. Like the first picture looks really good, you know. Yeah, I remember her. I've seen her on YouTube too. Yeah, I think, you know, it really comes down to the result you want to achieve, the style you want to achieve, the process you enjoy. It's so personal, you know. I actually really like her results using this method. It's not my style of choice to paint myself. The birds mostly. The birds look really good. I think I like them better than the flowers even. But it's funny. It's illustrative but realistic at the same time. With a few touches, it could be more realistic. I just don't think that's what she's after. Even though, yeah, the elephants, I do see the elephants are pretty realistic. So yeah, there's a bunch of them. Sorry, I know you don't see what I'm looking at, but yeah, I think it really comes down to the choice. You know, it's a bit hard to make a concrete. I would just say both. You know, learn both, become the best you can. Paula says hello from Virginia. Saint Inky, there's so much paint by number kits. I love it. I would like to try. Yeah, I actually did some paint by numbers with my uncle in the US. It was fun. I really enjoyed it. It takes a bit of patience, but I actually really enjoy that kind of a thing. Even if I didn't draw the thing and I didn't plan it out, if I just painted the way I see it, it feels like a fun arts and crafts project. I think it's something I actually would really enjoy doing more. You got it, John. Maybe I could help. Hey, Loyal Rebel. Hi from Jakarta, Indonesia. Thank you for being here. Can't you turn any painting into paint by numbers kit? Actually, yes. And I think there's a service that does that. I forgot their name, but I've seen some ads on Instagram, I think. It looks really cool. You basically send them a picture, and they turn it into a kit that you can then, you know, that's a service. They send it over, and you can give it as a gift to someone or, you know, do it yourself. It's actually a really cool idea and not that hard to do, I think. Not that hard to manufacture, right? The image itself is pretty, I think, simple to manufacture. The paint is a different matter, but still, yeah, I think it's possible. And you can even change the color scheme. You can ask, like, they can edit the photo for you, make it more atmospheric, it's really fun. It's actually a genius business idea. Pat, if I copy a photo of another artist's work from any site source and then post my work on Instagram and Facebook with no intention of selling or making any money, can we be sued? Can be sued for copyright infringement? I'm not sure. That will change even based on where you live. So it's a bit of a hard question. I think, like, the whole idea is whether it's transformative or derivative. That's what I know. So if it's transformative and you changed enough things, then I think the law is more towards you. But these things are, you know, always gray. It all depends on who has the better lawyer, basically. But so I wouldn't do that. You know, I would give credit. Usually when you give credit, it's like, yeah, what can the person do? You said it's theirs. I mean, it's not a crime to paint someone else's work, I think. I mean, come on, it makes no sense. What kind of world is it if you just paint it for yourself? Now, if you post it, it's a different matter, right? If you post it, you're posting it, you're publishing it. And then I think it's important to write that it's based on someone else's work and link to them possibly, or at least write the name. I think as long as you do that, I honestly did that a lot of times, and I don't mind that. I don't think anyone will do anything. I think also in that case, usually what someone has to prove when they're suing for that kind of a thing, and I know nothing about it. I'm talking like as a someone who heard things and saw things and heard rumors and watched some videos. They have to prove that your creation took away from the income of the original, right? So if you're not selling and you just posted it, I think that and again, not legal advice, I think the worst that can happen is they'll do a DMCA as to do just to take it down. And then, it's not worst case scenario, you take it down. Because if they sue you, you're like, well, I didn't sell it, I didn't make any profit, I just posted it. And then there's no case, there's nothing, they didn't lose from it, it didn't replace the original. It's kind of like fair use on YouTube, right? If I show snippets of someone else's video, or if I show other artists' paintings in my videos, of course I give them credit. The entire episode of Painting Masters is based on an artist, right? But it's fair use. There is such thing as fair use. And if it's for the purpose of review or for education or any one of those, and you prove that it's different enough from the original so that it doesn't compete with it, because honestly, my Painting Masters videos don't compete with the original artwork. If you want to see the artist, you'll still follow them on Instagram, right? Or you go to their gallery. It's not a replacement for the gallery. It's not a replacement for the painting. It's just a video featuring it. If anything, of course, it's marketing. But I've seen some really bad cases of people actually helping something and then getting burned by big companies, usually, big corporations that sue for copyright, stuff like that. So yeah, it's super duper gray. I would find a local Facebook group that deals with that and ask there. There's usually like lawyer groups for artists and stuff like that. Would be worth checking out. I do that. I don't care about, I'm not scared to do it myself. In worst case, I'll take something down, but I always link. That's I think the key. Sujanith, since a long time, I was asking you and other expert artists, a structure, thank you, I'm just not super duper expert. I'm on my way, I think. Now, a structure or a syllabus in sequence for self-taught artists. Any plans to create one, please? Not something concrete. I remember, of course, you've asked for a lot of things that I failed to deliver on. So my apologies, Sujanith. You've actually helped direct me in the right direction many times, and I still don't necessarily take action because I either am too busy or it's not a top priority, even though I know I should be doing something. So my apologies about that. For self-taught artists, I just don't think I'm there yet. I don't think I have developed enough as an artist to do that, because I feel like maybe when I'm more experienced, maybe in a decade more or something like that, I'll look back and look at all the major milestones and kind of ask myself, okay, what did I do here? What did I do there? And then I'll feel experienced enough and competent enough to do such a thing. I think there are definitely other people that are more well-suited to do it. And as for to share what I did so far, I actually did it in a lot of videos. But maybe I'm due for a video on how to get started as a self-taught artist. Let's think about it. Maybe I'll jot down a note for myself right now, actually. Let's see here. I'll write it down. And I know that's not really what you ask for, but yeah, about how to again. Because I didn't really do enough, I guess. And also, of course, the first advice I can give is everyone's way is going to be different. Some people learn faster, some people learn slower, some people are interested in a specific way of learning. Yeah, I feel like I don't give specific answers today. Vespa for Jen, there's such a thing as paint by numbers on watercolor paper? Oh, that I don't know. From what I'm familiar with, there's paint by numbers using acrylics mostly. But yeah. Denise, Deborah Lynn Rosenbach paints using a lot of water and pigment. She paints very loose style and creates some beautiful pieces. Don't think I'm familiar with Deborah Lynn. Artist. Yeah, I probably am, because I know everyone, just about everyone, once they check. I don't think I'm familiar with her work, actually. Yeah, that's really cool. That's really nice. Very contained chaos abstract art. That's nice. That's nice. It's not my style, but it's really interesting, actually. Barry says, hi from Argentina. Thank you for being here. Saint Inky, the answer is no, you can't be sued by Aaron Blaze, as Aaron Blaze often mentions and demonstrates on his live streams. Yeah, interesting. Aaron Blaze. Like I keep forgetting who people are unless I'm really yeah, I remember his work. Yeah, of course. I have to Google every second name I hear here. And he's actually making number at this point as the streams are live, and he's taking donations, demonstrating Disney characters or other popular ones. Oh, interesting. Yeah, interesting. That's a problem. Did he ever work for Disney or something like that? Because I wouldn't be in a hurry to do something like this. I will and I have drawn characters that have IPs that aren't mine, but I wouldn't want to ask for a specific value for those. Like I would never do a course on how to draw Disney characters or stuff like that. That'll never happen. I don't want to make money from it directly, at least. Please, Clyburn, what paper would you recommend for the watercolor and mixed media? Honestly, your best bet is just the best watercolor paper you can find, because the water element is the more demanding one. Acrylics can be painted on just about anything. I think oil is the same way, pretty much. No, I'm probably mistaken, but I think watercolor is the biggest constraint, so I'd actually go with that. So just a really good watercolor paper, textured or untextured, depending on what you prefer, and then you're pretty good to go with more opaque media above it. Depending on your work order, you may need to prep it, maybe using gesso or something like that, but I think watercolor paper would be your best bet. There are some mixed media papers out there, but what I find is that they're okay for everything and bad for watercolor. So just the best watercolor paper you can get would be the best. Plus, I will give like a pro tip: if you can get a 600 gram, better than 300, because you may want to have even less buckling. If you're using multiple media and you want to paint thick, you may want a bit of a more rigid paper, I guess. I really enjoyed painting 600 grams. It's a real treat. It's unnecessary for most things. It's more money spent on paper for no good reason, unless you're working really big. That's my opinion, at least. For small sizes, it just doesn't matter as much. But it would be, I think, wise to do that for mixed media. If your paper is thin and the paint is like thick layers, what do you call it? Impasto, I think. It's just going to be bad experience. So maybe like a thicker paper. I hope that makes sense. Patricia says, hi, give like. Yeah, if you can take a moment and like the video, that will be greatly appreciated. I don't ask for it enough. I don't ask for enough people to subscribe, and I don't ask enough generally. So I should ask for it more. So if you can do that, that'll be great. I see 51 likes. Here's 52. That's my like. And 79 people watching. So come on, give it a like. It really helps. Ambi, I would like to show some of my paintings in my shop. Maybe try to sell them. Is there anything I have to be aware about, the reference, copyright, etc.? Yeah, so when I sell something, it's going to be based preferably on pictures I took, and if not, on pictures that are released for commercial use. If you painted based on a picture you don't know the copyrights to, so you may have painted based on a picture that is copyrighted, I would just not put it in the shop. I would avoid that altogether, even if you like it. I know it sucks, but and even if you change it completely, it's something different. But if it's at least close to it, I would just avoid it. Regrettably, I would. It's just better safe than sorry in that in that regard. I would much rather not take the risk. My opinion. But start taking your own pictures if you don't, because that's going to lead to some of the best work you produce. I think it really is. It's just more personalized. It's more you. It's you from the beginning. I find that it really helps when I take my own pictures. I just know what I like. I know the kind of scenes. I walk with Ruth and they're like, oh, that's a great scene. I'll take a picture. Henny, hello. How are you? Hope you're doing well. We'll get to your question in a second. Richard DeWitt, have you watched James Gurney? I really want to try gouache and Kezi in painting because of him. Super awesome videos too. Yeah, James Gurney is really good at what he does. He's a pro through and through with decades of experience. Great career that he built. I definitely watched a lot of his videos. It's been a while, honestly, since I have. but I have watched so far, like in the past, a lot of videos, and I learned a lot from it. It's mostly now for inspiration because it's so hard to paint like him. It takes so much skill, and usually it's also very short videos, right? So it doesn't go too much into depth. I do think he has one or two or a few videos that are a little longer, but for the most part, it's like 5 minutes, 2 minutes, max 10. So I couldn't find very deep educational value, but inspiration wise, definitely. Yeah, give it a go. If he inspires you, just do it. He's really an interesting character and great art. Great. Henny, Liron, have you ever tried Etsy to sell your art? I made a shop a while back and abandoned it because I wasn't strong in marketing game back then, but now I'm opening it up again. Yeah, I don't have an Etsy store. I think I started one and then I never even put one product in it. Would probably be a good idea to put some stuff there, honestly. I think I should probably get back to it. But I don't have any good advice because I just never really sold over there consistently, never really tried. So one thing I will say that is an evergreen advice is know your fees, know how much they take, so that you price your stuff to at least make some profit, because someone pays you through Etsy. I think Etsy takes a cut, PayPal may take a cut, or a credit card company. I'm not sure how that works. And then you have to ship it. Right? Because it's Etsy. So you have 3 expenses, unexpected expenses that should be expected, of course, packing and all of that. Just know your prices so that at least you make some profit, because it's easy to, and you can be strategic about it. You can lower the prices in the beginning to attract more reviews and more stuff like that. Of course, that is a possibility. But generally, over the long run, you want to know how much you spend. That's true for any store, right? If tomorrow you go and purchase a domain and make your own gallery using Shopify, you need to know how much you pay to make sure that you're at least a little profitable, right? So yeah. So 50% of my paintings suffer because of mediocre drawing skills. I'm always going back to the basics in my art. Is it common in many artists? Is it common to suffer from lower, lesser developed drawing skills? Yes. Is it common to go back to the basics? Also, yes. I always go back to the basics, no matter how many. I'll show you something I did today. So, for example, I wanted to practice some figures today. So I did a few, actually. I'm quite happy with them. Hopefully you can see this well. This arm, I posted it on Instagram. This is probably the best arm I sketched so far, to be honest with you. But how did I start my session? By doing this, connecting dots, just working with my shoulder to connect them properly and trying to be as accurate as I can. Now, what did I do next? I did this. Just shapes, I go back to the basics every single day. It's just a must. You never graduate. There's this artist on YouTube, Akihito Yoshitomi, I think his name. He's a manga artist, and he posts every once in a while a video of his practicing, and he'll do shoulders practice, and he'll draw a head and the shoulder girdle and the clavicles and all of this section and maybe the trapezius muscle. And then he'll do the same from a bit of a different angle, and from an above angle, and from below angle. And he'll do 5 or 6 of them based on simple 3D shapes. So he'll do a box for the face, for the head, then he'll put the head in. Then he'll do a cylinder for the neck, kind of like what I've shown you. And he does this thing on a regular basis. He just practices the basics of his craft, which is manga. So it's a lot of drawing people, right? So going back to the basics all the time is super common and necessary. You always have to do that. Now, if you want to make sure that you start growing in your drawing skills, I would think about doing something different. If you feel like you're stuck, try something else. If what you've been doing so far doesn't work, I think the best solution is actually to get someone like a teacher to do an in-person lesson if you're really stuck with something, because that can really, someone good, that can really help you break through, And it's a shame because you've probably really developed your control of watercolor, but you feel like the drawing aspect holds you back, So yeah, I know it can be a bit frustrating, but drawing is not something that can't be learned. It's something that you can learn if you really put your time and effort to it. Will you be as good as someone who's been doing it for a long time fast? No. Will you ever be as good as someone who's been doing it for decades? Who knows? No one knows. But at least to a level where you can be happy with your paintings, I'm sure you do it. Yeah. Feel free to share more if you want. We can dive deeper on that. That's interesting, actually. Henny, also, does anyone have a good art print shop? In yeah, that I'm familiar with. Hopefully, someone can help. Hey, Blanca, how are you doing? Hope you're doing well. Hey, Ludwin, just got a block of Stonehenge 300-pound paper. Oh, did I say grams? I meant pound when I said 600. 600, is it grams or pounds? Now I'm confused, but yeah. 300 lbs. Oh, so I think 300 lbs is 600 grams. No, I'm not sure. Let's check. Let's try. 300 lbs, 2 kilograms. 130 grams. Okay, 130 grams is 300 pounds. So when I say 300, oh man, I'm so bad at this. Never mind. I'll just move on. Some stores sell fake products. That I didn't know. So when you say someone might have purchased a fake paper, that would suck. I hope that's not the case. Mainly in eBay. Yeah. I guess if you go to an actual art store, you're much less likely to buy something fake, even though who knows, sometimes they don't even know they hold a fake product. That can suck too. Test colors. Jane tests colors and posts on her blog. She likes Daniel Smith colors. Yep. I like these kinds of watercolorist blogs. I used to follow a few. Not so much these days, though. Nikki Hensel. Yes, I really like Daniel Smith watercolor paint. I use their metallic gold and silver. Yeah, these are actually really interesting. I like the iridescent and duochrome and all of that. I really like these paints. I should make more use of them. They have some very interesting qualities, and I think maybe I can incorporate them in a very gentle, mild way in my work. I should probably do that. Not sure what that is. Sorry, Sally. Joseph, you're a great artist. Thank you so much. Thank you. Nikki, what's your favorite red by Daniel Smith? Watercolor paint. I'm looking for some nice reds. Yeah, I'm gonna disappoint with my usual quinacridone rose. That's my favorite. It's just the most useful. Quinacridone rose. This is definitely my favorite. It's just the most versatile. You can make it look a little more red just by adding a bit of yellow, actually. You can make it a little closer to something like Pyrrole. Pyrrole Scarlet I really like, but that's more for small details. I wouldn't be able to rely on it for a large painting. I also like Perylene Red, though it's a bit tricky. Perylene Red tends to mute very easily, so depending on the color scheme, it may look excellent or it may look not as good. But that's it in terms of my favorite reds. Alizarin Crimson looks so good, but it's, again, fugitive, highly fugitive. Donaldo says cocaine for some reason. Timothy, hi Liron, Fabriano paper is amazing. The company's history is so fascinating. Rembrandt was using it. So I don't know. I never had that good of an experience with Fabriano so far. Maybe I've been using the wrong paper. But the history thing sounds really fascinating, actually. So I may look into that. I know they're a huge brand. Like they do all of the, of course, art contests and conventions and watercolor stuff. So yeah, rich history. No one. I think the problem with artists having bad painting skills is their drawing basics or how good they are at drawing. It's basically like draw like you paint and paint like you draw. Draw like, yeah. To some extent, I definitely agree with that, and I agree with the saying that if the drawing is good, you can't mess it up too much with watercolor. But there is a lot of watercolor knowledge too. So I have seen people that are very experienced in drawing that still don't know how to paint yet, and it does show. So I guess it's both. It's always both, It's always going to be a play. Donaldo, I'm skipping your messages for now because they're weird. I hope I don't have to block you though. So let me know if you're gonna continue. Keep it up. But I'll let you stay. I don't mind some of the mild trolling. I'm fine with that. But yeah, Sarah Mitchell would like to do one of your paintings in a paint by numbers and give as gifts. Oh yeah, that could be fun. That could be really cool. Email me, see if I'm up for it. Muffle Beauty. Hi there, everyone from Munich, Germany, sending good vibes. Thank you so much. Which are your favorite watercolors? So do you mean like actual colors or just generally brand? Let me know. My favorite colors, again, are very basic. I love primary colors. I guess I love the freedom they provide. I just put my foot on the sofa, so I'm just chilling. You can't see it. I love, ultramarine. I love phthalo blue. I love yellow ochre a lot. Quinacridone rose. Phthalo green can be quite useful with yellow ochre. If I had to sum up like my favorite colors, funny enough, and maybe I've been influenced by Alvaro Castanet, but his Daniel Smith set probably contains all the colors I really, really love. I just love the colors he uses, with the turquoise as well. I think the turquoise should be there. Let me check real fast. I'm going to open up Amazon. So Daniel Smith, Alvaro Castanet. Not gray. He has a gray now, right? Like Joseph's book. So let's see what's in Alvaro Castanet's set. Let me make this a little more interesting. I'm going to save the image. Let's make it fun. Let us make this fun. So here's what I'll do. I'm going to bring it up here on the screen because I never do that. I should just do more stuff like that. Okay, so here we go. And I'll tell you, because I think this is really a good indication of what I love. So there you go. You can't see my face, but that's fine. And I'm going to look to see myself like big. So yeah, it has Hansa Yellow Deep. Not Hansa Yellow Deep, I don't think I ever tried. I tried Hansa Yellow Medium. So I think based on what it looks like here, I like it. Mayan Orange, interesting. I don't know how useful it's going to be, though. I'm going left to right. Ultramarine blue, of course. Cobalt blue is one that I kind of like too. Viridian, same with phthalo green by my book, works really well with yellow ochre. Burnt sienna, of course, is a good staple. Neutral tint is very useful. I've been using it a lot. Deep scarlet and pyrrole red. Pyrrole red, so it's not pyrrole scarlet. That's interesting. So I wasn't familiar with like a lot of the specific colors he uses. Let me get my face back in here. A lot of the specific colors he uses, I wasn't even like that familiar with, but the overall kind of scheme of them, I really like. I like yellow ochre with viridian, with ultramarine. I would have preferred seeing here a quinacridone rose, maybe instead of the pyrrole red. Neutral tint is great. Burnt sienna is great. That kind of a thing I like. I find that I don't need many tertiary, secondary colors, really. I love Daniel Smith has this secondary color set with which one is it? Not magenta. I can remember. Deep. Is it sap green? I think it's sap green. I can't believe I forgot what the set has. Let me just check on Amazon. But this set I think is really nice and it works well together if you're just going to paint using secondary colors. Let's see here. I'm sure many of you are familiar with it. A secondary set. So Daniel Smith watercolor secondary set. Quinacridone burnt orange. That's right. Undersea green and carbazole violet, of course. So carbazole violet, I love. It's super useful. It's a bit easy to overdo, but it's very useful. Undersea green, same. Quinacridone burnt orange. Yeah, I like a lot of colors, but mostly the basic ones. I'm super basic that way. Dazzling Action. Now, if you're talking about brands, Daniel Smith, SAA, Shinhan PwC, Schmenka are good. SAA, I said. What else? Oh, M. Grams are great. Some of the most prettiest paints I've seen. But yeah, these are among the few I like. You can create with just about anything, right? It's a matter of you devoting yourself to the art. Dazzling Action. Thoughts on accuracy versus creativity? It's an interesting question because it implies that one is at the expense of the other. which I wouldn't be in a hurry to jump to that conclusion. Hey, Donaldo, okay, I'm not going to block you. But yes, I don't know. I don't think that's good for you, but don't worry. You're here. You're here, my friend. Um, I would say first, I don't think they need to come one at the expense of the other. Okay, accuracy versus creativity. But if you ask me, you know what? I can liken it to gesture and figure drawing. Sometimes when you do figure drawing, you change the anatomy, make it less accurate to create a better gesture, a better flow of movement, a painting that just looks, or a drawing that just looks better. So I would say, with a lot of disclaimers, creativity over accuracy, right? If you've worked on your skills enough to a competent level, creativity over accuracy. If you're using creativity as an excuse, maybe, and I'm not saying you do it, and I'm not saying anyone necessarily does it, but some people, I guess, do. If you're using it as kind of a crutch or an excuse not to be more accurate, that's something else. And I would have preferred to be able to be accurate, right? But if you become competent in the core skills, the fundamentals, creativity probably over accuracy, to be honest. It's a good question. It's a really good question. Sally, thank you. I love watching you paint. Thank you so much. Thank you. I am happy I could help. Adamus, you try out any of the new cheaper but good quality materials and paint, etc. I'm not sure what that refers to, but I should definitely try out some new stuff in terms of brands. And I'm always really stuck in my ways when it comes to these things. I find what works and then I tend to stick with it for a long time, unless I have to change it. Josephine, my biggest challenge right now is sticking to my practice schedule. I keep copying out. Yeah, that actually brings me to a point I wanted to mention. So, as the title of this, how to improve your art, I do think it's very hard to go around actually practicing. I don't want it to turn into a limiting belief that to become good you have to practice 10,000 hours and all of that, but you have to put in the work. And the work can be a lot of different things. It can be practicing your skills. It can be practicing. It can be just creating, just spending a lot of time painting, not even practicing, but just painting. Artists if you look at someone like Joseph Zbukvich, because I did hear him talk a bit about his journey. He says that when he got started, there was no DVDs, there were barely any books, right? The information wasn't as available. And I'm sure he probably at some point learned from someone. But for the most part, he says that he owes a lot of his originality to the fact that he was quite insular. And he really didn't learn much from other people. And that tells you a lot, because I don't think he spent a lot of time practicing a specific technique. I think he spent a lot of time just painting. So that will be like the bedrock of improving, in my opinion. And I always feel that at times where I put in the time and effort over a period of like a month, a few months, I grow exponentially and I'm at a new level. I don't go back anymore. And you need to be able to, I think, with the risk of saying you need to, at least devote some time to that once in a while. Now, the question as to solving your actual problem of having a challenge sticking to practice schedule, of course, the next question is, what stops you from doing that? Is it like logistic stuff, or do you have the time and just kind of don't do it? If someone works 5 jobs and has a family and a lot of different responsibilities, it makes sense that it's not going to be the top of priorities, right? But if you actually have time and you actually can do it and you just avoid it, it's something to be looked at, to look into, try and figure out why. Everyone has their own reason. Something I've been struggling with is just opening the Instagram messages lately, because of perfectionism. So when I got started and I had 5 messages in my inbox, it was great. I could answer everyone. I'd have a long time where I just answer every message. that I would get. And now that there are so many of them, I have this mental block of, if I can't reply to all, I'm even scared to begin, you know? But what's better, not replying to messages or finding the time to reply to 5 messages a day? You know, what would be the better course of action? The better course of action for me personally would be to drop that perfectionism or fear of the mountain of notifications and just do my best, or do it time based. Do it for 15 minutes, 30 minutes. But whenever I do that, after 30 minutes, I'm so frustrated that I feel like I barely got to any, not just messages, comments on YouTube, stuff like that. It's just so mentally challenging for me for some reason. And it shouldn't. It shouldn't. It's just a matter of doing a bit every day. That's something I'll stop working on and actually start doing. I'm going to write down a note. Sorry for the dead air. So that, I'm just saying that as it relates maybe to your situation or maybe to someone else's situation, that their perfectionism prevents them from actually just putting in, the 10 minutes it takes to practice, or 30 minutes it takes a day. I hope that makes sense. Vespal, Liron, I love watching you develop a painting that begins with a simple wash. I'd love to paint with you via YouTube on 9 on 12-inch arch. Yeah, definitely. We can do that. Do you feel like what I'm doing right now doesn't allow you to do that? Do you need me to say the size and and I don't know, name the exact colors, send the reference photo in advance as preparation? I wonder. Let me know. Let me know how I can improve these videos. Sujanith, what is your opinion on intuitive or spontaneous painting, which is used as art therapy? I mean meant in watercolor. I like it. I like it a lot. I think it has its place for sure. Not just in necessarily improving, but in just enjoying it. I tend to do that. So when you say intuitive or spontaneous, you mean no references, no nothing, just you and paper? Because I'm actually secretary, a moderator. Because I'm actually lost my train of thought. I actually do that. That's what I was going to say. I actually do that not necessarily without a reference, but with a reference, I'll kind of just go for it. I won't, maybe my spontaneous or intuitive would be to not have any pencil lines. So I'll find myself sometimes, choosing a reference that inspires me to paint, then just going for it, starting from a spot and working my way outwards and not having any preparation. So I think that's kind of in the same vein, I guess. So I'm all for it. I think it's good. I think it's good if it encourages you to create, and if you enjoy it, then definitely something worth looking into, and doing for fun every once in a while. I think that the repeating kind of motif here is just everything. Don't say no to anything. You can learn from pretty much everything that you encounter. But yeah, that's what I think. Chimefti, the point of being self-taught is to not follow a specific structure by specific expert. Methinks. Instead, I watch multiple videos and then try out what works for me. Yeah, that would change from one person to another too. I think some people who are self-taught do want to follow a specific structure, and that structure can be valuable. I think it is something that's worth pursuing if that's what you want. And some people will benefit from it. I'm more like you. I'll just do whatever. I'll just practice and look at stuff and get some inspiration, take my own picture and try to paint it. I'll deliberately seek out techniques and things I want to improve, but not everyone's like that. Kanchan and Diran says, hi Liron, as always, love your style. What's the best medium to sell your work? Etsy, InstaShop, your website. So a couple of things. If you're talking about what's the best platform in terms of exposure and stuff like that, that can change a lot and will depend on your art. Some art just lends itself better to different mediums and the different websites. Some art will sell better on Etsy, some will sell better on Instagram, some will sell better on a different store, on Society 6 or whatever. What's the other one called? There are a few of them. Red Cube, I don't know, something I forgot. Redbubble. But the one thing that is factual is the fees you're gonna pay. I'm gonna go back to this boring point. you need to see where you can make profit to. So if you're selling on Etsy, are there any additional fees you're going to give up? For example, I sell my books on Amazon. Amazon takes anywhere between 30 to 70%. But it's still worth it because Amazon does everything. They print the books, they do a lot of things, right? So it's worth for me to have them take, and I still get a better percentage than if I'd gone through a publishing house, right? Which will leave me with 10%. 8%, no, not 8. I haven't gone as low as 8, but 10, maybe 15. So I think there are a lot of factors that go into it, but one factor that is pretty much factual is the fees you're going to pay. So if you pay more on Etsy or any other platform, that's something you need to consider. The answer is going to be test all of them out. Some of them you may hate, you may not like the interface, right? What I found very strange on Etsy is that they wanted to bill me every month for something that I didn't understand. But they sent me an invoice in advance. And I'm like, what am I supposed to do with that? And I kind of just bailed on it. I didn't know I didn't understand what they wanted from me. There was like this listing fee, and like, just take a fee when I sell. I don't know what you want from me. Maybe it changed today. Who knows? Morwen says, "Hi, Liron, kisses from Italy. Thank you so much. Hope you're doing super fantastic, Morwen." Sally, are you able to live off your paintings, or do you have a regular job? I don't have a regular job, but I don't live off of selling my paintings only. I sell the courses mostly, and the books and the how-tos, but more from teaching than from selling the art. Hopefully that, I don't know if I wanted to change, but the ratio, if I want the ratio to change, but yeah, it would definitely be nice if I could live off of just selling the paintings. But it was never my goal, honestly. I enjoy more like teaching and selling the information, giving it for free and then selling some of it. But yeah, John, good morning. I left a like and I'm ready to learn something. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask. Now, if you're a lurker and you just watch the live streams and you never ask a question, now is my challenge to you to ask me a question. Now is the time. There's never been a better time to ask your question. If you have anything, right? If you have anything you want to know, even if it's not about improving your art, whatever it is, even if it's about me or anything you want to ask, now's the time. Saint Anki, James has awesome books considered a must among artists, such as Light and Color and Imaginative Painting or something. Yeah, he's amazing. He's amazing. Ambi, are there references you use in your videos free? Yes, Ambi, the ones I use 99% of the time. The photos I'm using, I brought from websites like Pixabay, or I took myself, or someone gave me permission to use. So you can, I would prefer that you ask me on an individual basis, like, is this copyright free? And then I can tell you. But generally, yes. The ones that I have on my videos are from those kinds of websites, which means you can probably use them. Noah, Liron, what's your opinion on constructive drawing? Should I use it every time? I think I know what you mean. You mean just constructing the thing based on three-dimensional and anatomical knowledge? The answer is no. You shouldn't use it every time. It's good to practice it a lot until you're very comfortable, but at some point you have to drop it and kind of just draw and paint. I find that it's just not beneficial for many situations. If I'm drawing a landscape, I'm not going to use it. Even if there are a few houses, I'm not going to actually construct things as cubes or boxes and then put a roof on them as a triangle. I'm just going to draw them as I see them. But that's because I have enough experience to do that, So definitely not every time. Do I think it's valuable? Yes, very valuable. Hey, Carrie, how are you doing? Hey again, Monica. Carrie, took a block of Stonehenge, 300 pounds. I thought you took a stone from ancient roots. Funny. Is Winsor Newton granulation medium and iridescent a comparable replacement for actual granulating paints and iridescent watercolor kits such as Schminke and Daniel Smith, or are they different? I'm not the expert on this, Saint Inky, so someone may know the answer here, but from what I've seen, not really. From what I've seen from afar, maybe I didn't see enough of it being used. From what I see, the better bet is to actually get the paint, the iridescent paint, the granulating paint. That's from what I saw. And granulating paints, they exist in abundance. So you don't really have to, buy a medium necessarily. You can just buy the paint, and I think it's worth it if you're after that effect for sure. Mark Foley, who I name drop almost every stream, uses, I think, a lot of granulating colors, and it looks fantastic. Content Diran, you literally had the Queen Rose at hand. One of my favorites too. It's so versatile. Yeah, definitely. I just have a drawer here right under my table that has all my most used tubes, which is like 30 of them. Not 30. 30 won't fit here. Maybe 15. Denise, have you tried the Schmincke super granulating colors? I may have. I'm not sure. I don't remember using them in particular, so I'm not sure. Lefters, for a new artist in social media, the only way to promote one's art now. For a new artist, is social media the only way to promote one's art nowadays? No, you can go the galleries route. You can try and make local connections, and you may actually be better off, honestly, if you have the ability to talk to a lot of gallery promoters or gallery owners, and your art style fits what they're looking for. And sometimes it helps if it has a message. If it's a political message, it can really help. Though that's not the art I enjoy doing at all. But some people, that's just their natural, mode of being. The art is very commentative on reality, not necessarily politics. It could be anything. You may be better off, honestly, just seeking out galleries and putting your paintings there, because even though it can take a lot of effort, galleries are a good way to be discovered by more serious art collectors. Now, serious art collectors are everywhere. They're on Instagram too, because they're people. But the mode of operation may be different for people when they're on social media. They're just there to enjoy the paintings they see and not to buy, whereas they go to the gallery to buy something. So I had my paintings in a few galleries. I just didn't really enjoy the communications process with the galleries, though I should probably reconnect with them, because I did sell a few through them. They take a big percentage, of course. That's a big thing, but I think galleries are a way to go. The physical world didn't disappear. It's just that people spend a lot of time on social media and the internet and the metaverse, whatever you want to call it. So yeah, I think it's not the only way. It is a very good way. If you're good at it, it's a very good way. And even if you're bad at it, it could be a good way, But yeah, do both if you can. I think the gallery route could be underrated right now because of how social media works. Maybe there are galleries who are seeking new artists, and you can really hit it off with a gallery and then sell tons through them, and then have the person buying from them approach you directly. There are a lot of opportunities that can open themselves up. And I'm sure there are other opportunities which are not social media and galleries. Could be something else completely. Yeah. Saint Inky says "Mooch" in the house. I'm not sure what that means. Sorry. Donaldo, we finally got to your message. Don't block me. Just did a painting. Been up all night on cocaine. Love your stuff. Thanks for helping. So I hope that cocaine was the high from the painting and not actual, because that's not really good for anyone, I think. Kingmaker, sir, if we chose it as career, how much can we make per month? If you're an artist, you can make as much as you want. There is no ceiling, right? Because art sells for whatever exorbitant price you can imagine. So if anything, that's a question to ask. If I'm a programmer, how much can I make a month? If I'm a teacher, how much can I make per month? If you're an artist, you can make a lot. But if you want to get like a clue as to what you can expect to earn like in the initial stages, you can do like more than minimum for sure if you have a solid start, you have solid skills, and you spend a lot of time really promoting and branding yourself and marketing and using all the tools at your disposal. You can very quickly, the likelihood of that happening, don't get me wrong, is low, because most people just won't make it, because that's just how it works, unfortunately. But you can get to a point where you make a really nice living fairly fast if you do everything right, and maybe a spark of luck, and maybe you work 5 times harder than everyone. There's so many things that go into succeeding as an artist. but you can make a livable income for sure, more than that. And if you're looking at the higher ranges, there is no limit. Truly, there isn't, because it's as much as people are willing to pay for your art. And a lot of people have more money than they know what to do with, and they need it for tax purposes to buy your paintings. And there's a lot of factors that go into that. Vespa, hanging out with all of you is much better than reading or watching the news. Yeah, watching too much news can really be depressing, and I feel like I'm sure there is a research somewhere that shows that makes you dumber. Like seriously, not like not like it. Just I don't know. It's too much. Sometimes it's too much. If it's a healthy amount, that's great. But if it's too much, it's just I find lower mode of thinking, and it's a shame because you can do a lot of things that are much better with your time. Um, because of course the news is going to play on hype and fear and whatever they have to do to get the traffic. And here we definitely don't do things with hype. It's super boring compared to the news in a way. But yeah, I'm so grateful that you're all here with me. I really appreciate it. Say thank you. Be careful with that, and although you might be able to paint for a longer time without too expensive and not good for the heart. Yep, would definitely avoid that at any cost. Kanchan and Darren. Oh, Dennis. Okay, good. Thank you for answering. Harsh deep color. Would you also be exploring washes in very big works? I want to get the freshness in bigger areas. Yeah, that's a great question, and it's something I'm thinking of how to incorporate in my work. So what I would say, yes, it is possible. Think about it this way: you need to scale everything up, right? That makes sense, Harsh deep. If you want to get that same freshness, you have to scale everything up. So the paper is bigger, good. The brush should be bigger. The brush is bigger, you need more paint, and you need more mixing area, and you need a bigger water container. All of these, you need bigger and more. I would say you cannot use paint that dried. You need to use paint fresh out of the tube, because it takes a long time to mix otherwise. Because if you use, and if you can get bigger pans than these, or not pens, just put some paint straight out of the tube here, that'll be best. You need to go wild to get the same freshness. So it is possible, and I would definitely want to explore that in the future. It's just that big paintings are more impressive. You can go around that. They can sell for more. They appeal to a wider audience, or at least to an audience that is used to spending a lot of money on art, which is why I would definitely strive to have the possibility of getting that same freshness. You have to scale everything up, and I seriously mean everything. So I've seen a couple of demos of big paintings, and what the people are doing is big bucket of water. Sometimes they'll mix in advance paint in it, so they'll put some paint out of the tube, fill it with water, and mix, and then you have a big well, like an actual bottle with paint ready to go. So yeah, that's what I would say. It's not easy, but it is possible, and it's something I definitely want to explore more in the future. Sally says alizarin crimson permanent is not fugitive. Yeah, but it also looks different, right? It doesn't look as good as alizarin crimson, I think. I'm not sure though. Saint Inky, what also got me better are good courses such as Jill Poyard's YouTube channel and mainly Udemy art courses. She did a few covers of Splash. Jill Poyard's, I'm not sure I'm familiar with Jill. Let's see here. Jill Poyard. Oh, that's nice. It's a very distinct style, actually. It's very interesting. You know what? This is an artist I will definitely explore more, because she has a very realistic quality to her work, but the colors are so atypical, That's really good. I'm going to study more from her for sure. I'm going to write it down as a note too, and I'm going to probably add her to the Painting Masters list. That's really neat. I wasn't familiar with her. Thank you so much for introducing me. Sujanith, could you do a video someday on an artist and posture during painting, if possible? I'm asking too much, I think. Yeah, no, that actually makes sense. Sujanith, I'll tell you something important. I actually do posture exercises every day. I've been doing physiotherapy for 2 years now because of my knee. One day just felt like my left leg felt like a wooden leg. It was really annoying, and it would happen. It's one of those pains that when you don't move the leg for a while, like when you wake up in the morning, it hurts. When you sit down for a long time, and then it's when you start activity, it just goes away. So I did my research. I found out that I had, and I went to do an ultrasound, found out that I had this mild, what do you call it, like inflammation or something of the tendon on the lateral side, which is connecting to the IT band and all of that good stuff. So I've been doing ever since that physiotherapy, and I've also been doing posture exercises, the very simple kind where you stand in front of a wall and you just do the snowman on the wall, and do this kind of a thing that can really help. But the most important thing is you have everything touch the wall, and don't do this, but tuck the chin. That's like the most important thing. That's what I do, at least to help me, and I do this every day. I miss here and there, but like usually it's 5 times a week, sometimes twice a day. But yeah, it is very important to be aware of that. When, especially to me, it's more when I'm drawing. When I'm drawing on the manga, I find myself really hunching close to it. I haven't found a good solution for this yet. Maybe lowering the height of the chair just so that you're closer to the table and at a steeper angle, but then you need something that can really hold things without them falling on you. So at the very least, I think it's important to be aware of this, because it's a real issue. Over a few years, it can really mess you up. The posture thing, and every once in a while you see me kind of straightening up. But yeah, I've been doing posture exercises almost every day. I think it's really important. I don't want to, with the years and age, just be like that and then get locked like this. It looks like a nightmare. I think feels like a nightmare. Donaldo, sir, Saint Inky, not Stinky. Yes, I know. So it's funny how sometimes people, when they have high energy, they end up being so funny, probably unintentionally. Stuff is expensive, but I'm responsible, and sometimes you just need a little pick me up, or I just think I did too much, a little too much. Also, watercolor is perfect for layering. Yeah, Donaldo, feel free to hit me up with an email. I'll try to talk you out of doing this ever again. But yeah, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. John, I love yellow ochre too. It makes some great green mixes with cerulean. It's great soft muted color. With Prussian blue, it's good sap green. Yeah, that's interesting. I haven't tried it with Prussian. That's for sure. I don't have a Prussian and on hand. Oh, I have one. I actually have one. I should use it more. I actually have Prussian. Yeah, yellow ochre, it's so good. Been there. Just so old now that I noticed the wear and tear. Yeah. Oh, sorry to hear, Saint Anki. Yeah, it's funny that I call you Saint Anki, but I never know if you actually meant it to be Stinky. I'm not sure. Sorry. But yeah, I'm sorry that you've been there. I mean, that's got to be rough. I never got into anything close, but yeah, it's got to be not good. Abunti Sarma, is learning anatomy important, or just learning the shapes of anatomy is enough? It depends on what you want to do. I think if you just draw a lot of people, you can get very good, but you will hit a wall. Now, if you are truly doing the work you should be doing, which is, trying to learn and improve in the places where you're lacking, I think you're very naturally end up at anatomy in some points. So, for example, you draw a person and you feel like you've improved from observation. You know approximately, like, you kind of know how to draw a person that looks believable, but something always feels weird. And then you'll very naturally search and seek out information on, for example, the pelvis, like how the legs connect to the body. That's a huge area of trouble for many people, including myself, when drawing people from observation. And then learning about it will really help you to draw it better. And then you can go back to just drawing from observation, right? So I think the journey of improving a skill will naturally, if you're really serious about it, will naturally take you to places where you're striving out to find the information you need. I hope that makes sense, because that's how I find it's a quality that's very important to have if you plan on being self-taught. You have to develop this. I don't know if you can develop it. I think maybe I was just born with it, but that ability to strive to learn the things that maybe it's just curiosity and being true to yourself, so it is important, but it will depend on your needs, and it will depend on the type of art you make, and it will depend on how good of a result you want to have, right? A lot of the artworks in museums and stuff like that, the person who painted and drew people never learned anatomy, right? Especially if it's newer stuff. If it's old masters, they actually did a lot of heavy research. But if it's newer, modern stuff, if there are people in it, they don't look realistic at all. Is the person who painting them happy with it? Maybe, and that's great. That's good enough. So it will be dependent on the purpose. What I will say is this: try and be true to yourself. Look at the people you draw. Are you happy with them, or do you feel like they're lacking? And if they're lacking enough to the point where you want to improve them, you'll naturally seek out that knowledge. That's what I think. You have to understand, like, if you don't do any anatomical knowledge at all, it's hard. Drawing people is hard. Without understanding what's going on there, it's very hard. And it's very hard to notice things when you aren't familiar with them, right? So when you look at a face, it's very hard to draw the eyes in the right place if you're unfamiliar with how the face is structured, right? That there's this side plane that goes throughout the side of the face and it's faced to the other direction. And the eyes are within the eye sockets. You'll just draw the eyes too much outside, which happens to many people. They draw them as if the face is flat, which it isn't. If you just look at the side view, look at where the eye is. It's much more inside compared to the bridge of the nose. So you'll naturally, hopefully, get to a point where you strive to find that information. Donaldo, I'll get there eventually. I can't wait to be the crazy old man with all the paintings. Maybe I'll get famous. Good luck. Good luck, Donaldo. Is it the first time I see you on a live stream? I'm not sure. Let me know if it's your first time. And anyone else if it's your first time. Hey, Marjorie, too many vloggers seem to encourage secondary colors rather than learning primaries. This is one of the many, and by the way, Marjorie, I owe you a response to an email and a message. So sorry, I'm super behind on this because of the vacation. I saw them. Sorry about that. This is one of the many reasons I don't only suggest, I insist that anyone I give or sell my paints to watch you. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much for that. Yeah, I agree. I think primary colors just can do so much. They can do so much more. Secondary colors, tertiary, it's great. You can do a lot with them too, but why not start at the core, at the base, and work your way from there? I don't know. Sally says you need a secretary and a moderator. That's so funny. Saint Inky, 88 viewers, 85 thumbs up. That's nice. Yeah, thank you so much. That's really a great ratio. That's a great ratio. Carrie, I'm going to quote you there. That's something I'm going to stop working on and start doing. Yeah, that's good. I'm going to use that quote. I'm going to use you quoting me. That's something I'll stop working on and start doing. Yeah. Yes. There we go. It's just a decision. I'm looking at the thing I wrote to myself. Time frame based responses to comments and messages. I'm going to start anchoring this in my schedule. That's a great quote, actually. Thank you, Carrie, for helping me find my own good quotes. Josephine, yes, that stupid mountain is getting in the way. I guess it's a matter of redefining a successful outcome. Yep. You got it. Happy I could help. Marjorie, P.S. I have a box ready for mail with your name on it. Still looking for your... Yeah, so sorry. I'm going to answer right as this ends. I'm writing it down. So sorry about that. I have seen that you sent me an email and message, I believe, but I haven't read them. So sorry about that. Had I read them, I just write down my address real fast. So sorry about that. Sally, have you heard of an Israeli artist who goes by Cannot Stop? She's great. Actually, no. Let's see. Cannot Stop. Maybe I'm aware. I found an Etsy store. Sophia Rodionov. I'm not sure if that's her. Let's see on Instagram. Oh yeah, Israel. Watercolor, mother-in-law for Black Cat Lexus. It's interesting. You know what? It's so random, but if I search her on Facebook, I may find we're friends because sometimes that's just how it happens. It's a small place here. I'm actually curious to see. And she's probably in the same painting groups as I am, local painting groups. So we have 40 mutual friends. I think that's her. Yeah, I think that's her. We have 40 mutual friends. That's funny on Facebook. Yeah. Yeah, so now I'm familiar with her. Looks great. Really looks great. Gail, learning about your challenge with quantity of inboxes that need your attention. I feel learning about your challenge with quantity of inboxes that need your attention. I feel very blessed with the number of personal responses I received. Thank you so much. Yeah, um, it's just something that I do regardless. So to be quite honest, it's not like I'm not doing it and I need to start doing it, but I just need to make the decision to not complain about it and just accept it as reality, you know? That's silly perfectionism of like, I have to reply to everyone or I didn't do my job and it's not worth it. Of course, it's better to, you know, get a few out of the way, right? Drop a like on everything else, you know? By the way, talking about challenges, the art contest, I will remind you, link to join the Discord in the description box, and there is an announcement in the Liron updates channel. The link is going to be active for about 5 more days, I think, after which it's going to not work because I want the Discord to grow slowly, and I feel like I have a lot of work to do there to make it more engaging and more fun. But just know that there is an art contest, very straightforward, very simple. You don't have to be good or anything, you just have to join. And there will be prizes. So the way I did it was, let's talk a bit about that actually. Even though you haven't no one asked about it, we'll talk about it. I'll leave the message here so that I know where I was in the chat messages. So I'm doing an art contest on Discord. All you have to do is just create a painting, submit it, and I will update you there. Like when the submission window opens, I believe it's the 10th till the 12th of this month, and then there's going to be a voting period, and one person is going to win on a completely random basis. It's going to be a randomizer, and then the second person will win based on your votes. So if you want to win an original artwork, there are 2 paintings. Be sure to join. So yeah. Lola MP says the right way, wrong way, my way. Thanks for the wisdom and instruction. Yeah, that's a great approach actually. Hey, Artsy Nitik. Hi again. Hi again. Hope you're doing well. Hey, freaking Morris. Hope you're doing well. Did you just join, by the way? I see it's from, oh, okay, it's from 20 minutes, the message. I have to pick up the pace. Artsy Nitik, you're from India. Cool. Thank you so much for being here. I know it's quite late, right? As we've seen someone, I don't remember who wrote that it's late. Nancy G arriving a little late today. Shoveling snow in Akron, Ohio. Oh man, it's snowy, right? That's crazy. Abanti Sarma, is the learning anatomy important? Okay, we talked about that. Yeah, sorry, it took me a while to answer. Kanchan, thank you so much for the super chat. Much appreciated. Your constant support means a lot to me. Thank you so much. Your message says, thank you for taking time and sending it so much of transparent information out there. Yeah, it's my pleasure, honestly. I just want, this is like the best form of interaction, honestly. It's the fastest and best for me. It's so much more fun than sometimes, you know, just posting and then replying to comments. This is much faster, you know. So thank you so much for being here, for your support. Really means a lot. And again, these things are what pays for this little rascal's. Look at her, like a cow, sleeping on the sofa. You can't see her because of that thing she loves, that heater. But she's completely out. She's the bestest. So that pays for her food. So Ruth says thank you. Much appreciated. Saying everything in art is important to me. Jonathan Way, I watched your old cloud painting vid and appreciated your humility as you attempted the hard wet reference. You said once snow painting is a complete failure, so I try to find my successes. Yeah, definitely. That's a great approach. And you know, find something you love about everything you do. That I find that to be like one of the best things I've learned so far. Like just choose something you like about anything you do. It's almost like gratitude practice. I'm gonna write down for myself. So I do every day my awareness routine, meditation, writing, and then I find a few things. I write down things that I'm gratitude for. So it's the same thing that I have gratitude for, that I'm grateful for. Kind of the same thing, you know, to always try and see something positive. It's all in the mindset. It really is. Erica M., what are your thoughts on water-soluble graphite pencil like Derwent? Love your channel. My kids and I watch it together. Oh, that's so cool. Thank you so much. You know, I'm not sure. I believe I tried it once, and I didn't really get the hang of it. But I think maybe if I give it a go or try a bit more, maybe I would grow to like it. Is that something you tried? I'm not sure. I never really went too serious on it, but I have seen people get good results with these and very interesting results. I just don't know much about it, unfortunately. Sorry, I don't have a better insight. Daiji, just wanted to say hi. A little late, but I'm loving the laid back Q&A. Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, it wasn't even meant to be like just the laid back Q&A, but I just kind of turned into it. I'd much rather answer questions than talk. Just talk about myself or whatever. Most of the answers do end up talking a bit about myself, but yeah. Who's your favorite artist? Mine is H.R. Geiger. Oh, that's a good one. Very creepy. Right, it's Geiger that's creepy. Let me make sure. Yeah, oh, I love that. There's this video game that I think is going to come out called Scorn. Looks like a nightmare. If you don't like these kinds of things, don't check it out. But Geiger's awesome. If I'm not mistaken, Kentaro Miura of Berserk took some inspiration from H.R. Geiger. It's hard to say who's my favorite. I have so many these days, One artist that always sticks out is John Singer Sargent for me. I don't know, just I love him so much. Everything about the way he paints, Super Chingling, how do you know? Chingling is a Pokemon name, right? Is that the origin of your username? Let's check for a second. Yeah, it's a Pokemon, and it's actually in your photo. I just now realized. That's so cool. You have a plushie in your photo. Yeah. How do you know what a watercolor will look like when it is dried? Sometimes I'll like a color when it is wet, but when it dries, it isn't as vivid, or the shade changed drastically from what I wanted. Yeah, a couple of things on that. And by the way, just as a side note, it's so cool that like I immediately recognized the Chingling name of Pokemon. I don't know why there are so many Pokemon in my mind that are so unsignificant to the Pokemon space, and somehow I remember all of them. I have no idea why I have this information in my head. Pokemon I didn't even play the games of, and I haven't watched in an anime. I know all of them for some odd reason. But in any case, yeah. So first off, watercolor does dry less vivid, and that's just an inherent property of it. But here's where context comes into play. It is true that it will look less vivid, but I want you to judge the painting at the end of the process. And does the paint feel vivid or vibrant in the context of the painting itself? Does it look bright? Do the sections you plan to feel well lit? Do they actually feel well lit? You can't do something that's impossible. That's just a problem. So if you try and get watercolor to be more vibrant than it is, it's just you can't. It's not an opaque medium. The light shines through it and is reflected back. It's going to be a source of frustration. The question is, in the context of the full painting, does it look vibrant enough? Right now, I will say, maybe you're muting it, maybe you're mixing it with something else. If you don't, maybe you're not using the most inherently vibrant color you can, which is why I do like Quinacridone Rose, because it's just that super vibrant. So that's another question to ask yourself. Maybe you need to buy some other paints that will serve you well. Ruth stretches, you got to see this. Oh, of course I didn't make it on time. Do it again. Do it again. Maybe later. So maybe that's the thing. Maybe that'll solve your problem. And I'm all for solving it with just getting more suitable materials, What else will I say on that? That's pretty much it. Hopefully in the overall end context of the painting, it will look good to you and you will be pleased with it. But if you don't, I sometimes just find myself wanting to use other mediums. So maybe I'll just add a bit of acrylic if I feel like I want something that I can't achieve with a transparent medium, Now, one last thing I will say is the paint will look more vibrant generally if you look at it in direct sunlight. Now, of course, that's not always an option, but try holding it up in direct sunlight and see if you like it like that. Maybe that's a more accurate representation of what it looks like. You know what I mean? So yeah, I hope this helps somehow. It's just part of the painting process. Every video you see of me, when I do when I cut the video and restart it after the paint dries, it always looks less vibrant. That's just the reality of the medium. The question is, does it look vibrant enough at the end of the process? Thank you so much for the super chats, everyone. I will get to them. Sorry that it takes me a long time, but I will. I promise to. Donaldo, you're cool too, but I like dark art more. Yeah, I learned a lot from you, so thank you. Thank you so much, Donaldo. Yeah, so if you want a good dark art, which I like too, and I wanted to mention earlier, it would be Gustave Doré is his name. Gustave Doré. Yeah, Gustave Doré has some, more biblical pieces and some dark that I really like. He has the Dante Alighieri Inferno. That's a really dark painting there. Gustave Doré. I wanted to mention earlier, and I kind of forgot. Let me know, Donaldo, if you like his work. It's Gustave, Gustavdore. I'm curious to hear your thoughts on that, actually. Carrie, how do you know when to stop painting? Most of the time I go a little too far, then wish I had stopped earlier. One advice I have for this, Carrie, and I talk about it a lot in some of the lectures I just finished editing for my course on realism. Take a break. That's like the best thing I can say. If you walk away from the painting, whenever you feel like, okay, I may go into overwork zone, take a break for 30 minutes, an hour, come back and you'll know immediately. You'll be like, oh, I want to add this and that and this and that. But if you come back to it and you're like, that's enough, maybe I've already overdone it a bit, that's a great way of knowing. Just take some distance away from it. Now, I will offer another possible solution for the long term. Have at hand always a painting you feel like you overworked and a painting you feel like you finished just the right timing. And have them handy. And whenever you're uncertain, take them out and compare. Compare them and ask yourself, am I in this spot or not? Did I get to this overwork stage yet or not? I think that can help. That's the first time I thought about it, but it could work, I think. John, so about your figure drawing series, first of all, it was great. It got me interested in figure drawing, which I was putting off learning. My question about it is this. I'm going to skip saying Inky for a moment. At what point could I consider myself to have mastered the cube and cylinder shape so that I could move into putting it into figures? And what's a good way to do a few minutes of practicing cubes and cylinders each day? Yeah, John, that's a great question. You're at a point where you're ready. First off, you'll never be perfect. So at some point, you just have to move forward, right? You're not going to really master, like I still haven't mastered so much of this too. I haven't mastered cubes, I haven't mastered spheres, I haven't mastered the bean that I discussed a bit from Proco. I haven't mastered these fully. I just know that I'm good enough. Now, how do you even know that, right? If you can, I'm just going to rotate it a bit. If you can draw a cube from all angles and have it be accurate, you're good to go. If you can rotate it in your mind's eye, do it like, tilt it like this, like that, move it around in any angle you wish and draw it, and you're almost dead on accurate, you're good. The problem is, the challenge is the 90-degree angles, right? So if you look at a square from the top, that's a 90-degree angle. Now look at what I'm doing here. It's still a 90-degree angle, but it doesn't look like one, right? It looks like, depending on like, it's much more open now, right? I'm doing the same exact angle, but in different contexts, it looks a little different. So that's where the challenge is. And how do you measure like distance into depth, right? So if you look at it straight ahead, that's easy. But what happens to this finger once it goes into depth? It looks shorter. So when you're at a point where you're able to draw these 90-degree angles from any angle relatively accurately, you're good to move forward. Same with the cylinder. It's a huge step to move from that into figures. What you should do in the middle is learn what the basic parts of the body look like as simplified shapes, because that's another lesson in and of itself. So you learn that the rib cage looks like a sphere or a kind of an ellipse thing. You learn that the pelvis can be simplified into a bucket shape, right? And this information is out there. If you check out Stan Prokopenko's videos, Proko. Once you feel comfortable with doing these, that's the best. That's when you know you can move forward, right? You won't master it it can take years or never. I haven't mastered these yet, even though I'm competent at them. Okay, so when you feel like it's boring and you're able to do it, and you measure, you check yourself, you test yourself against a real box. I think there are some like online models you can use. Then you know you can move on. You'll find mistakes, recurring mistakes, and you have to work towards fixing them. Janice also, and what's a good way to do a few minutes practicing? It's just that what I shown you earlier. You do a little warm up of drawing circles and ovals and straight lines, and then you just do it. You draw it. I like to start with a square and then imagine what would happen if I move it in space and turn it into a cube. And then I move it like this. And then I'm like, okay, what will happen if I move it like that? And then I try and draw it like that. That's how I do it. And about filling a page up with like 5 boxes, 6 boxes, 6 spheres, something like that is a good range to practice. Do more if you can. Do more. Do 10, 20. That will be better, right? In the beginning, do 100. So like do a lot of these. But yeah, that hopefully that answers your question. It's a great question. That's the type of question that is the easiest to answer because it's very focused. So I'm happy. I'm happy that you. It looks like you're really ready to tackle this. Otherwise, you wouldn't have been able to ask such a specific question. So yeah, go back to saying Inky. Donaldo Geiger is up there, but my favorite C. Escher. Yeah, that's a good too. There's a few smartwatches. Some of Geiger paintings, putting them in motion. Oh, that's interesting. Could you send that over to me? I'm curious to see it. Saint Inky, send it over, please. I really want to see this. So let's see. Let's move forward. Yeah, sure. Yeah. Hey, Sticky Art. Hey, Artsy again. Andrea Sims, how are you? So happy to hear your voice, Liron. Thank you so much. Sally, ceramic butcher trays are good for large mixes. Yeah, that's true. I don't have one, but I should get something similar. Right now, I'm trying to let more of my personality show through on Instagram rather than just be a robot or too formal. Did you find this aspect difficult? How did you get comfortable on social media? Yeah, that's tough. That thing of balancing out what Instagram wants and the algorithm with what you want to post is hard. So I know right now for a fact that Instagram promotes videos more. It promotes reels, short videos. But I want to post my paintings, and I want to post my face, and I want to post a picture of Ruth. I want it to be all over the place. I want to post a sketch, then a painting. I know for a fact that's not good for the algorithm. But you can do everything for the algorithm, So I did find it challenging. Now you're talking about something a little different, right? Just feel comfortable showing your personality. So I would ask myself, what's something that I'm scared of sharing, and that I can share? So for example, I'll give you something simple. Like you don't have to share your deepest secrets, but maybe you like something that's a little different from what you've seen so far. For me, that'll be like the Pokemon cards. So I just posted a few pictures of the cards that I love in my collection, right? Maybe you enjoy playing a music instrument and that's something you didn't post enough of or at all. Show that, show people that side of you. And don't be scared because at the end of the day, you're a person. You're not like it's. I'm saying it like in a positive way about myself too. Like I'm not special enough to worry too much about what other people think. You know what I mean? Like I'm not. I'm just like a normal person. So whatever people think of me, like who cares? You know what I mean? How that makes sense. My approach, at least. Yeah, that it's a challenge. Balancing it out. I sometimes find myself wanting to do something, knowing that it's bad for the algorithm and still second guessing myself, but then usually I'm good with that. I'm okay at doing the thing I actually want to do, so I'm not too worried about that. But I've been doing it for a long time, so I feel very comfortable. Saying if you're into watercolor and don't know Jill Pirate, you're missing out. Yeah, that's the I know now. I'm gonna definitely dive deeper on her work and probably do a painting masters and everything. Marjorie, have tried just about every company's alizarin crimson, and no company makes a spot on true, sad to say. No, that sucks. L. Regab says to avoid dairy products. That's a good tip, actually. We don't drink like normal milk. We only drink almond milk with no sugar. No, not just no added sugar. No zero sugar. Saying she's the one the masters learn from, basically. Interesting. Domo, hello, caught the stream. Welcome aboard. Me too, says Dave. Welcome. Time to make some tea. Yeah, we're chilling. We're chilling here. Sally, I wish I could sell anything. Any suggestions? I feel funny asking people for money and get messed up trying to come up with a number. I did a commission of a dog, only got deposit. Yeah, that's for some reason for artists it's difficult. Here's what I like to always suggest. For sure, the minimum should be something you won't feel like you wasted your time. And that can be low, that doesn't have to be high. Don't feel bad if the number that pops in your mind, you're like, oh, is it too little? Is it embarrassingly low? Who cares? If you're happy with what you did, that's all that matters. The trick for me is it doesn't really matter where you start. It's more about where you move towards. So if you can increase the price with every sell, you'll do good. You just keep increasing it until you hit a wall where people stop buying. That's pretty much what I think is the best way to go. Now, how do you even begin? I start by size. So this specific painting, I'm going to price this way. This other specific painting, I'm going to price another way. And like a cheat like advice or tip for you would be just go on galleries of artists, go on my gallery and see what prices I do. And then ask yourself, does this make you uncomfortable? But that's a starting point. You know what some 5 other artists charge for, what I decided to do is I'm where I'm at, but with every purchase, every person who buys a painting, I'm increasing the prices of everything. That's just how I'm going to do it. I'm going to be vicious about it and make sure that anyone who buys a painting, hopefully the painting will go up in value in the future. Of course, most people don't intend on selling, but just saying, it's a good, I think it's a good kind of, not only incentive to make people buy, but like a good best practice, I think, as an artist. Never go back. Always move forward and increase the prices. Once you settle around a price point where you feel good about, at some point you'll be like, this is way too little, and then you'll want to increase it. But the one red line in the sand is don't allow for a price that makes you feel like you wasted time and it wasn't worth it and you're frustrated and you hold a grudge or something like that. That's like the worst case scenario. Sorry, I don't have too good of insights, but that's kind of from my own experience. Once you get it, you'll get it and you'll be able to move from there, It's just that initial small hump that isn't really that significant. Just choose a price and go for it, really. Ludwin, I meant the super heavy 600-gram stone paper. I wonder how Arsh priced around the world. Here, $20 for a 22 by 30 centimeter 9-inch. So that'll be $20 for the thing here. 3 years ago, it was around 13. Yeah, I think it's similar here. A little more expensive, but not significantly, actually. Andres says, when I die, I want Liron and the crazy Russian hacker to read my eulogy. That's funny. In your experience, Gail asks, in your experience when marketing your art, what drives demand the most? Subject matter, signature, sign, style, price point, paper size, self-promotion. I think above all of these is brand. Some artists just build a brand, which means you immediately know who they are, you know what they're about, you know what they're worth. A great example of this is Joseph Zbukvic, Alvaro Castaño. You know what you get. It's both a very distinct style. It's very their style. It's very branded in a good way. It's like you know what you're getting. And people, of course, have to enjoy the art itself, right? But I will say, art is so subjective that I see left and right people who love art that I don't make and that I'm not even close to making. Very abstract stuff, very things that I don't know why necessarily they like, but when I kind of think about it, I'm like, oh, it could look nice on the wall here, So it's a multifaceted, tons of factors. Some people, usually the more, I'll say, kind of mid-level to wealthy people, some people may have a spot in their home where they want to put a painting. They know what they're after, and they're just looking for something that will work there in that spot. I know people like that for sure, personally. It's just like, this is the wall. This is what I want to put here. I'll give you a great example. Someone bought a painting for me, a couple of paintings, and he told me, we went over a bunch of stuff because he was actually here physically. And he told me, this is my favorite, but I can't get it because it doesn't match what I need in the house. So we bought 2 other paintings. It's super funny, you know. He's like, I didn't get this one because and it's my favorite for sure. It's my favorite mood atmosphere, but it just doesn't match what I'm looking for. Maybe in the future when I have my own office or something like that, you know. So it's so bizarre sometimes. Now, price point is definitely a factor because some price points are just gonna lock people out of your art. It doesn't matter what you create; they're not gonna buy it because they can't afford it, you know. So it's that. Size, not as much, I would say. It's more about the content of the painting from what I've seen, unless we're talking about I have this spot where I want to put the painting and it needs to be this size, right? Self-promotion, signature style, all of these go into branding. So I would say branding first and foremost. So you can tell that's the artist, that's the painting, that's the whatever it is. It's a strong brand. Joseph Bukovic is branded as one of, if not the best watercolor painter among many people. Now, I don't think he views himself that way at all. He's too humble to do that, really. He's too well aware of the art scene to think that way, because there are some artists that have insane skill level, more than him for sure, even though, like, you know, who cares? It's not like I don't want it to be a contest. Like, he's top for sure, but there are some people who are like a few inches above. That's just how it is, you know. I'm not saying it in a bad way at all. I love his work and I think it's genius, and he really did it in an insular way and built his own style that now tons of people imitate. But there are some artists whose every brush mark you can tell, and it's super realistic, or it's super expressive realistic, or it's their control is just beyond the level of anything you've seen. So, you know, it's hard to put it on a scale, but definitely that branding aspect is important. You know, if people know you and they know what they're getting, and there is a clear line to your, again, signature style, as you say, it really makes a difference. And then it's a matter of, like, what's the price point for a specific audience, right? So yeah, hope that helps. I know it's all over. Paula says, sorry, I forgot to give a thumbs up when I first signed on. Thank you, Diaz, for the reminder. Thank you so much, Donaldo, and thank you, everyone. Yes, my first time. I watch your videos. Go be a badass at watercolor. Try every other medium, but watercolor is the hardest, and I like the challenge. I'm sleepy now, so good night, everybody. Yeah, good night, Donaldo. Thank you for being here. Yeah, definitely, I'm the same. Watercolor just keeps pulling me in, always. Eldon Sowers, hey all. Thank you for being here. Marjorie, good. Can't trust leaving stuff till after. I'm leaving so much for my daughter to take care of. Sending my love and respect, I guess. Thank you so much. What's the Discord? I'll show you my. Yeah, it's in the link, third link from in the description. MB, thank you. If I would decide to use a reference from your videos, I will send you an email before. Is that okay? If you're using a reference from my videos, just feel free to use it. You don't have to email me. If you're painting based on my painting, you can feel free to email me, let me know. Even though I'm mostly fine with that. I'm all for open source art. I don't care. Because here's the thing. I know that someone else can't take away from me. You know, that's just, I'm me. Someone who wants to buy from me will buy from me. And if someone else recreates a painting of mine and sells it, I mean, come on, who cares? The world is too big to worry about that. Most people don't take away from your profits. That's just how it works, I believe. Banani Kovani, hi from Belgium. I'm too miserable to ask questions, but I enjoyed just listening. Oh, sorry to hear. Let me know if there's any way I can help. Yeah, Ruth, I guess. Hey, Bahir, I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly, Bahir, or Bahar, I'm not sure. Thank you so much for being here. I know, like, I keep pronouncing things like I'm American, though maybe I should pronounce things like I'm Israeli. How would I pronounce it if I was Israeli? Bahire. That's how I would say it. Dave Payne, Banani, you must be an amazing artist. Thank you, Dave. I'll say thank you for Banani. Delia, thank you so much. Ruth is so cute. Great seeing you again this week. And sorry for the delay in getting to your super chat. Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate it. And thank you also, Bahir. And hopefully I pronounced it correctly in any of the ways I said it. Thank you so much for the super chat too. I really appreciate both of you. Thank you for the support. Means a lot. Pays for Ruth's food. Really appreciate it. Some artists like Andy Evenson wet both sides of the paper and don't use tape. I've tried it hundreds of times and paper won't dry ever. If you use a dryer, it curls. Yeah, I get it. So here's the thing. I just have to tape the paper. If you wet both sides and you don't tape it, and I think you can't tape it with most types of tape, it's going to curl. Now, I'm okay with it curling. You can always flatten it later, and once you frame it, it's going to be flat, but it doesn't work as well for me. Now, one thing I do know people do is they use like a glass surface, and then when the paper is wet, it kind of glues itself to it. I've seen it a couple of times. Maybe that's something to consider. Or alternatively, get a tape that can work with wet surfaces. I think that they are out there. So maybe that'll be a solution. But if you don't tape the paper, it will curl. It's just the reality. So, yeah. That's how I would do it. But here, and thank you so much once again for the super chat. Oh yeah, Sally also already answered. Try laying on glass or plexiglass. Yeah, that's what I heard too. Ludwin, watercolor is matte by default. For really dark, vibrant colors, you need a glossy medium. For really dark, vibrant colors, yeah, interesting. Some paint manufacturers add honey to make it more glossy. Yeah, like M. Graham. Amy, a Hudson, is there a place to find mentors? I need honest critiques, not product plugs. That's a good question. Oh yeah, well, I have an answer for that. Join the Discord. People are really good like that there. Join the Discord, send the painting there. You can send me an email too, but the Discord, we will get a faster response probably. Yeah. Corrugated plastic won't work, so okay with making it stay wet, but what about if you want to put hard edges? Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not that familiar with wetting two sides. Sorry, I don't have better insights for you. Oh yeah, Kyle says loves Gustave Doré. Yeah, he's incredible. Schoolism has mentors, but it's pricey considering they got teachers like Nathan Fox. It's reasonable. Yeah, I don't. And people ask me occasionally, like, if I can just do a Patreon thing where I do proper critiques. Maybe I should start doing that. I don't know. Right now, I'm just kind of answering when people email me, and because I don't get paid for it and I just do it for free, it's really on a from time to time basis, which isn't good enough. I don't know. Let me know if I know, Sujanith, you also told me about this in the past. Is that something you're interested in? Because I might just do it and maybe do like private sessions, 30 minutes, give some advice and see how it works. Maybe through Patreon, maybe just, directly. I don't know. Let me know if that's something you're interested in. It's just, I keep seeing it. And I don't know, like, how much would they charge on Schoolism? I'm curious to hear. I bet I can at least make it cheaper than that. Super Chingling, thank you. Yes, Chingling is my favorite Pokemon. This is what happens when you create a username in your early teens. Oh, that's funny. Yeah, no, it's a great username. I've been playing Legends Arceus. Again, not too long, but it's so good. It surprised the hell out of me. Loki, how are you? I never know when to stop. Watercolor is still very much new medium, but I learned to love my overworked paintings. I guess love Liron style, so different to mine, but so fresh and enchanting to watch. Thank you so much. Loki, remind me, what kind of style do you... Oh, yeah, here, you corrected yourself. What kind of style do you paint? I forgot. I think you sent it to me. Either you sent it to me or I saw it somewhere. But I'm curious. And by the way, I love Loki and Saint Inky, so it's like similar usernames. Saint Inky, another good guidance is artist online school, such as Billy Scholl, Jacqueline Knott. I know Christoph. Wow, he's really good. Domestic has some good teachers too. The chat deleted my links to the watches of Geiger earlier on. Sorry, yeah, just email it to me or send me an Instagram message. That'll be the best. That sounds so cool, honestly. Interactive to your wrist movement. That sounds so good. Yeah, the chat may delete links automatically. Just send it via message, email, whatever, anywhere else. Let's see, some tips. Spray the finished piece. Pamela, hello from South Africa. Love this live feeds. Help so much. Thank you so much. Yeah, I don't know why the talking streams get a lot of views sometimes, more than the painting streams at times. So I'm very happy about that. Erica M, do you use any type of fixative on your painting before you sell? No, I don't. It's usually okay. From what I've heard, they survived for a long time so far. Let's see here. Man, Arches is more expensive here in Belgium, says Eldon Summers. Yeah, here as well. I think it's a bit overpriced, honestly. I just order a roll. So what I do is, it's so funny. I'll order a roll from Jackson's in the UK, and it will arrive in like 4 days or 3 business days, something like that. It's a roll, and the price will still be cheaper than here. I rest my case. It's really tough. Freaking morons, thank you for the info. Have you seen the show Arcane? Every frame is fantastic, painting, especially the background and the world. I haven't. I've heard of it though. Arcane. Let's see. Arcane. I've heard of it for sure. Oh yeah, I wanted to check that out, and it's on Netflix too. Cool. I'm gonna watch it. Arcane. What I have been watching was Attack on Titan recently. I don't know if anyone watches it here, but like, it's so good. I'm super late to the party, but I love it. Dave, you can get a more accurate cylinder and sphere if you learn to use your wrist with your finger joint. Straight lines use the finger joint, but no wrist. Interesting. So the way I do this, yeah, is like that, but I also trained my shoulder to get the same result. So I'll do straight lines with my shoulder. I'll do accurate spheres and cylinders, everything from the shoulder, because it gives you a wider range of motion. So to me, it's the best. Long straight lines, I would work with the elbow, like this, but usually I try to go for my shoulder. Yes, Carlos, there is a Discord. Join. It's the third link. Should be the third link in the live stream's description. Amy says, yeah, it's just send it over. For now, I'm doing it for free, so yeah. Eli or Ellie, I love your attitude about those who might paint something in your tutorials. I watched other videos where the artist was painting a step by step, and they literally said, "But don't copy this." Yeah, who cares? Why am I teaching if I don't if I really want to paint something that no one will copy, I'll just paint it privately, and then most people don't copy it. But if it's a tutorial, come on, people are going to do this. Carlos, hopefully you found the Discord link. I can just copy it for you. Let's see. You probably found it, though. Open up the video. It should be in the description, right? Yeah, Discord. Here it is. Copy link address. I will say this. I'm still building up the... Oh, that's terrible. That's a terrible way to show the link. Wait a second. I'm still building up the Discord in my mind of what it should be. But you definitely want to be there because some future updates are going to make it worth your time. I'm sure of it. Sally, have you ever heard of Turner Artist watercolors? They're very affordable. Got mine on Amazon. No, I haven't. Should I? If they're affordable and good, I may do that. Eldon, honestly, when I hear how much you do for free, it astonishes me. It's super generous and kind of you. But I also think you're providing something you deserve compensation for. Of course, it's up to you. Yeah, definitely. This is why. So I won't do something unless it's worth my time, honestly. So I won't waste too much time replying and giving feedback, because that's really like the best value for value I can offer. But I will do it occasionally, right? For the things I am paid for, I'll devote much more time. But yeah, I like the idea of just putting it all out there and knowing that something will come back in return. But I do think the idea of doing like actual critiques in private is good, and a lot of people have been asking for that. I think I'll do that. I think I'll do that. It's just going to be like on a request basis, I guess. So yeah. And I'll be super selfish and ask you, Chet, have you ever used such a service? And if you have, if you don't mind sharing how much it cost, because I will be thinking, of course, about how I price that kind of a thing. So let me know. I'm curious to hear. And you have to remember, Eldon, everything I do for free does come back. Because people watch the videos and then they end up wanting to learn more and they find the courses, right? I just don't push them as hard. Honestly, I should push them harder because it is my job and what I do, But yeah, thank you so much. I really appreciate your support. Freaking morons, have you tried digital art? I've learned a lot from you, even though I've never tried watercolor. Yeah, I have. I have done some digital stuff. Nothing close to like being good. But yeah, I dabble in it. I have my Huion Canvas tablet, which it's pretty good. It's not like the best in the market at all. It's one of the cheaper ones, but it's still decent. And I have done some digital enhancements for my manga art, and I have done a few experiments like painting using digital mediums. I'm really a traditional type of guy, but yeah, maybe in the future I'll explore it more. Who knows? Efren Malka Sheikh, how to sell your artworks or earn employment commission in traditional or digital mediums? Yeah, on digital I can't comment because I don't do that, but it's going to be the same as everything. So if you sell your art, you have to be smart about it and ask yourself, what do you sell? What's your value proposition? And find your lane. So for me, it's watercolors and the knowledge of watercolor. But if I ever get super serious about a manga, do I sell a subscription? Do people pay me to be able to read it? In your case, do you do designs for video game companies? Do you have to find the thing you do and be very specific at it? Especially digital, like what are you good at? What's your skill, and what can you sell? So some people sell 3D models for various uses, and you can put them in many different stores. Like what's the one called that has a lot of 3D assets, and then people buy them. Just like paintings, just like that's a question you want to ask yourself. You have to be very specific. It's a very broad question, and it will depend on what kind of art you make and what the use of it is, and what who your client is. Is it just a private person who buys a painting? Is it a company that pays for your service to design characters and concept art? Do you, whatever it is, you have to be very specific about it. That's the first step, I would say. Nudorf, sorry, I can't pronounce it, but I love Attack on Titan. Yeah, that's amazing. Seth, I just started watching too, just finished season 3. Yeah, I'm in the beginning of kind of middle of season 4. It's so good. So I don't want to spoil anything to anyone, but there's this scene that's like the best scene in anime history. And if you've watched, Seth, you watched it because you've already gone through that part based on you finishing season 3. It's so good. You may be able to guess what it is. It's like a big revelation, of course, and it's so darn good. And then you look back, and there were hints all over the place. So yeah, it's just so good. It honestly, it competes for me with Berserk. Like Berserk manga is the best, but in terms of anime, of course, it takes the cake because Berserk animes suck, unfortunately. Loki, hi Liron, I followed you on Instagram recently. Maybe you saw it there. I wouldn't know how to describe it. I just paint what comes to me, no sketch. Let me see if I go back to a previous message you sent. I don't remember what it was. Oh yeah, of course. So yeah, I remember you sent me a message. And have you sent me your art there? I'm gonna check. Let's check. We have time. We're past like 2 hours, almost 2.5 hours now. So we can do that. We can take a moment. Loki, let's see if I can find you based on your username. Because it's gonna be in my messages. Why doesn't it just let me search for messages? I hate that. The message search is just terrible. Let me see if I can find it. I see a couple of messages from people here. It's so cool. Loki, where did I put it? I mean, I didn't put it. Where did Instagram put it? Oh, here. Yeah, I can find it. If you can send me a message right now, I'll just see it. It's gonna jump to the top. But yeah, send me a message now, and I'll look. But I remember seeing it. Yeah, and Loki is my lazy YouTube nick from real life. Loki, it's funny. Erica M, do you ever use? I think you mean kuretake. Yeah, kuretake. No, haven't, but I heard a lot of people like them. Cubs win. Well, how are you, my friend? What is the average price of your painting? Where can we buy? If you just go to Liron, Liron, gallery.com, that's where you can see the prices. I can open it up for you. Let's see. I don't even remember my own pricing. That's how bad it is. So I see right now when I'm looking, $500, $399, $399, $299. I had a bunch of $199s that I sold. I had a few like special kind of things that I did, special promos on Instagram that I did for $99. I think I did cheaper too in the past, and I have the big ones for $599. So that's kind of where I'm at. It used to be cheaper, but every time I sell, I just up the price. So sorry about that. But I do, and I will go back to doing more of these promotions of doing like a story on Instagram of a painting, and then I put it on the gallery for a relatively cheap price. So like I did one for 70 something bucks, and someone bought it like 5 minutes later. And you have an opportunity to win one if you join the Discord and join the art contest. So that's another plug for that. Join the Discord, you want to. I'll make it worth your while. I'm promising. In the future it's going to be like, it's going to be good. I have some really solid plans there. Daiji, you got a Huion canvas. Cool. Huion is a great economical alternative for a good drawing tablet. Definitely, and I'll tell you the story of how I got it was so funny. Someone posted it. I wasn't even planning on buying something like that. Someone posted it on a local Facebook group that they were selling it. And you know, sometimes when you buy something secondhand, it's a kind of a hit or miss. So this guy, he said he is focused on his studies. He barely had time to use it. And he just wants to sell it. He sold it for the same price he bought it for, and it wasn't. I think he used it like once to do this one line, and I drove over to him. It was like an hour and a half away, something like that, or an hour away, and he was the coolest guy ever. I brought my Mac. He helped me connect it, make sure everything works. He gave me a bunch of extra accessories like the gloves and the whatever extra, stuff that came with it, and some stuff that didn't come with it. It was the coolest dude ever, and it was like a best case scenario. I got it for the retail price, barely used, from someone who's super nice, and I know didn't do something weird to it or ruin it in any way. It was like the best thing ever, and it was useful for me. I do use it for like the toning and digital stuff for the manga. Not a lot, but when I will do more of it in the future, and then when that point comes, I will need it more and more. So yeah, it's a great one, and it's so funny the way I got it was super like lucky, actually. Amy, thanks for this. Your Q&A sessions are priceless. Thank you so much. Efren says, I do 2D backgrounds environments. Yeah, so I would say it can vary depending on who your customers are, but I think generally speaking, LinkedIn is a good place to be in to make those connections. A lot of the studios that hire, a lot of the companies are there. It's a good place to be noticed. I would say LinkedIn, Instagram, of course, everyone's there now. TikTok is good if you can do something that is fun for TikTok and faster to show the process. Maybe those are great avenues to put yourself out there, right? Of course, the background and environment, you have to be skilled at what you do, and if you are, and if you promote yourself properly and all of that, that's where I think you can create those opportunities to be hired, right? For 2D backgrounds and environments, that will probably be like working with a studio, right? So that's how I would go about it. Of course, I'm doing something completely different, so I cannot give too much specific advice, unfortunately, about that. But I hope that helps. Robert Allen, good morning, Liron, from fellow Torontian. Cool. Welcome aboard. Born Again Farm Girl. Gosh, I cannot express how valuable your insights and talents are. Thank you so much. Loki at Eldon Summers. Just watch him grow. What he does can go on. Oh, thank you so much. Yeah. Hopefully it does continue to grow. Seth, it's so good. Yeah, I loved Berserk, which is what led me to Attack on Titan. Cool. Yeah, now that oh man, Berserk is going nowhere, right? We're not going to get anything more, I think. I think it's done. It's so sad. Michelle, honestly, I think I've learned more watching your videos on watercolor than my painting art class. Thank you. That's actually something I hear from time to time. Really appreciate it. It was a comment, not a message, on John's painting. Okay, I got it. I'll find it. Let's see here. Let us see. I'll find your comment. Loki. Why can't I find it? Was it on John's post or my post? Let's see here. I'll find it. Don't worry. We're so long into the stream that it's like it's okay to. Why can't I find it? It's so weird. So I posted. Let's see. Oh yeah, I got it. I found you. Oh yeah, and I also followed you. Yeah, I remember. It's so cool. I wanted to tell you, I love it. Yes, I love it. Let me do a live plug. Wait, okay. I love this one. This one's so good. I love it a lot. I just don't want to show it like my screen, but that's my probably one of my favorites in there. Banani says, love the Gansai Kuretake paints. Kuretake, because it's Japanese. I think that's how you pronounce it. Yeah, I heard a lot of good things about it. Robert, I'm a watercolor artist among other mediums. Have you ever tried charcoal, especially liquid charcoal? Actually, I haven't. Not that big on these types of mediums yet. Maybe in the future, I'm more of like I'll just sketch it kind of thing. But yeah, I should probably go more into those, honestly, because they're very versatile, right? It's something you can do so much with. So I think I should definitely do more with that, you know? Second, sorry. Screen freeze for a moment. Sorry about that. Sorry. Yeah. Isildur. I remember now when I found you. Wait, we read that one. Good. Nagareka. Hi, as you are very good in sketching, thank you so much. I'm going to turn the heat off. It's too much. It's too hot in here. As long as you keep your values right, your paintings turn out very well. What about people who are not very good at sketching? Your views on that? You just got to work on it, you know? And there are ways to improve that don't require you to... By the way, I solved this... Let me lose this layer. I solved this problem for you in the watercolor realism course that's going to be out soon. I actually have a complete section on drawing and how to draw for the purpose of a watercolor and how to circumvent a lot of the problems that come with not knowing how to draw. So once it's out and we're going to do a launch party live stream, you will see like exactly, you know, how you can go over it and kind of draw something that looks good, you know, even though you don't know how to draw really, really accurately. So it's going to be really neat, something to look forward to. But here, thank you so much. You pronounced my name perfectly. I'm happy to hear. My intuition was correct. Sally says, you need to put a link under your videos to your paintings that are for sale. Yeah, definitely. I usually link to the courses because that more correlates to, you know, people watching a how-to video and then they go and buy the course, but I should promote more the art. For sure. Gun State. Oh, yeah, we caught up to the chat. That is so cool. Okay, yeah. Mikko Lulu, thanks for all you do. Do you paint from imagination ever? Barely. But I do play around with it, but not a lot. I will admit, I'm more of a, like, I look at it and I paint it as I see it. So seeing as we got to the end of the chat, and thank you, Loki, I think it's a good time to wrap it up. 2.5 hours. That's longer than usual, and it's been a great fun. So yeah, join the Discord. I think you'll find a great community there. If you have any paintings you want me to review, email me. If you, I'm going to selfishly ask once again, if you can, let me know if you've gone through a service of critiques and something like that and how much it costs. And if you're interested in me doing the same thing, let me know. I can do that. I can try because a lot of people asked for that. I think it's definitely worth the time and the help that it will give people. So yeah. Let's go real quick over the couple of few new ones. Robert says practice is the only way to improve. Yeah, while watching and trying the technique. Yeah, especially if you have to go through it, right? It's like you can't read about doing push-ups. You have to actually paint. You'll get so much more from just painting compared to, you know, looking at videos. That's just how it is. One painting will teach you more than watching like 3 hours of content, probably. Alessandro, how are you? Hi, even if late, have a good evening. Thank you so much. Thank you, John. Thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate it. Marjorie, are parts of your lives that remind me the teaching part of being a budding artist plus having Julius Delvas as a house guest when I was a child. Who is that? I'm not sure. Artist that I'm unfamiliar with. Interesting. There's a lot of, ooh, that's good. That's very interesting. So I'm gonna look into him as well. You teach me a lot of, I get a lot of gems from these for sure. Robert, thank you for being here. Friggin' morons, thank you for being here. Deb, thank you. Tanga, thank you. Erica, I would be interested for sure about that. The critiques, cool. I'll have that in mind. I will set something up. Do you want it to go through Patreon or anywhere else? Let me know. I'm curious to hear again, more information about that Sujanith story. I know you emailed me a bunch of times about similar things, so hopefully this time I can provide. So thank you so much. I really do appreciate you being here. Again, the Discord, there's going to be an art contest there. You get an opportunity to win 2 paintings. One, I mean, everyone gets an opportunity for one. If someone gets the raffle and gets the vote, so I'm gonna do a re-raffle. Don't worry. And yeah, this is pretty much it. Did I have any other announcements? So I'm kind of just to let you know, I'm going back on track and kind of going back to work after taking a break. It is a challenge. It is taking me some time. I'm a little rusty, but I'll slowly go back to doing the normal stuff. It's a challenging time, but in a good way. I think it will lead to a lot of growth. Yes, Alessandro, definitely send it over. Thank you, Nancy. Thank you, John. Thank you, Karma West. Hello, thanks for sharing your knowledge and skill. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you being here in the live streams. It means a lot to me, and these are so fun. So thank you so much. If you have any other questions, feel free to drop a comment. I'll try and do these after the fact tomorrow, in the next couple of days, and that's it. Have a great day, evening, night. Discord is like a server with chats, lots of channels. Joining is the best way of discovering. Actually, it's hard to explain. Great chatting with everyone. Thank you so much, everyone. I really appreciate it. We're gonna wrap it up. Farouk asks a question. I can't stop. Do you recommend wet on wet technique or wet on dry? Both. Do both for portraits as well. Practice both, master both. That's the best. Both are necessary and both will help you grow. Some portraits are easier to begin with wet and wet. I will say that for softer shadows. With that, we're going to wrap it up. Thank you so much. Thank you, Trip. Thank you, Vikas. Really appreciate it. We'll talk again real soon.